Okay, I think we can start. So as I have already mentioned, this session actually is this particular webinar series we are conducting by basically with the hope of giving you the technical support for your softwares and the products that you're going to develop in this particular program. So I hope you will be getting a very good understanding and a good support from these webinar series, right? So this is the first program we are conducting under this webinar series, Introduction to Python Programming. So, right. So the session actually is conducted by myself. So I'm Samadhi Rathnayaka. I'm a lecturer attached to Faculty of Computing, SLIIT. And if I talk about myself, I'm a graduate from University of Colombo. And I have been working with the Python programming language more than 6 years now. So I hope with these experiences, I hope that I'll be able to give you a good knowledge and experience about this particular language. And I hope this will be very helpful for your developments as well. So here I have mentioned my email address as well as the WhatsApp number. So if you have any issues or any kind of clarifications, you guys can contact me anytime. All right, so let's quickly start our discussion. So as I have already mentioned, this is the first workshop webinar that we are going to conduct under this webinar series. Starting from this, we have a set of workshops that we have planned to conduct under this webinar series. So I have here mentioned the programs that we are going to conduct after this program. So the dates and the time slots will be informed to you later. So we are going to conduct a webinar on low-code and no-code programming. And then another program will be conducted for giving an introduction about artificial intelligence and machine learning. And another webinar we are going to conduct focusing web development. So there we are going to cover the main areas under the web development. For an example, front-end development, back-end, and how can we handle the databases, right? And then we will go beyond the software development programs. We go beyond and we actually focus about some hardware-based programs as well. So we are going to actually discuss about the basics of electronics and Arduino, right? So Arduino is a very powerful language that we can use for dealing with the hardware components. So as an extension of this basic electronics and Arduino program, we are going to conduct another specific program for giving an introduction about the robotics. And finally, we'll be doing another program about rapid mechanical prototyping and 3D printing. So I hope within these webinar series, you will be getting a very thorough, right, knowledge and an experience about developing your products. You may be developing different products, right? So I hope we are covering almost all the fundamental stuff which will be helpful for you within your development process. Okay, right. So let's start discussing about today's session. So as I have already mentioned, in today's session, what we are going to focus is a very powerful and very popular programming language called Python. I hope some of you guys may be having a kind of understanding or kind of experience about this language sometimes, right? So far, but some of you guys may be right having no idea, right, about this language. That's totally fine because in this particular program, what we actually hope is to give you a kind of a very gentle introduction as well as kind of motivation and kind of a push, right, to right explore this language and this particular technology, and we actually give you kind of a starting point, right? And I must say one thing, that we have a very limited time. So within this limited time, I try my best to explain the most important concepts, the fundamental concepts that we should know about this particular language. But my advice is this is not, this particular program is not covering everything, right? This is, as I have already mentioned, this kind of a way of giving a motivation for you to explore, right? So then after you have taken this guidance and the push that we are giving, you have to, right, start learning it and follow more, right, concepts about Python, and you have to, right, learn more. So then, so if you are having any issues or any doubts while you are, right, doing your self-learning stuff, you can contact me anytime, right? I have already shared with you, right, my contact details, right? So this is my email address and this is my WhatsApp number. So whenever, right, whenever it's possible, I will definitely help you, guide you in any case. Right, then let's start today's session. All right, so Python programming, it's a very popular and a very powerful programming language. And I must say one thing, so, there are different programming languages in the world. First of all, we must understand why do we use these programming languages? You know, we use the programming languages as a way of communicating with the computers. That let's say you have a friend, let's say called Sam, and let's say you want to let's say you want the Sam to do something for you, right? දැන් හිතන්න ඔයාගේ යාළුවෙක් වෙනවා සෑම් කියලා. දැන් ඔයා ඒ සෑම්ට කියලා මොනවද දෙයක් කරගන්න ඕනේ. අපි හිතමුකෝ දැන් හිතන්න සෑම්ට කියලා දන්න මේ ඔයාට මොනවද හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. කෑමක් හදා ගන්න කියලා කියන්නකෝ. right? දැන් සෑම්ට අපි කියන මොනවද හදලා දෙන්න කන්න කියලා. right? දැන් ඒක අපි හිත හිතේ හරියන්නේ නැහැනේ. right? So let's say if we think it, and right, if we don't say to Sam, he doesn't know about what is our requirement. අපි හිත හිටියා කියලා එයා දන්නේ නැහැ අපිට මේ මොනවද කන්න ඕනේ මේ හදලා දෙන්න කියන එක එයාට එහෙම මැසේජ් එකක් යන්නේ නැහැ. Definitely we have to actually contact, or let's say we have to communicate, right, with Sam, right? So then only that person will understand, okay, what is our requirement, and based on the requirement that we are having, he will do the, right, whatever the process, or let's say whatever the task to, right, satisfy our requirement. That is what, right, communicating means. The computers are also like that. So if you want to, let's say use the computer, right, for doing something, definitely you have to communicate with the computer. That's the thing. So when you want to communicate with the computer, you have to have a kind of a way of communication, kind of a medium is needed, right? So what you do is, with the medium, in other words, let's say it's like a language like, let's say Sinhala, Tamil, English, likewise kind of a language. So then with the language, we try to actually communicate. But the problem is, computer can't understand what we are talking about, right? Basically that it can't understand our human languages. Understood? It can only understand ones and zeros. Computer එකට ළමයි තේරෙන්නේ එක සහ බිංදු විතරයි. Right? Only ones and zeros. That's it. Got my point? Computer can understand only ones and zeros. So then, right? Then when the computer can understand just the ones and zeros, one way is, guys, we have to first of all know ones and zeros. එක විදිහක් තමයි අපිට වෙනවා එක බින්දු කියන ඒවා ඉගෙන ගන්න. තේරුණා? ones and zeros ඉගෙනගෙන ඒවත් එක්ක communicate කරන්න වෙනවා. Right? Means we have to work with the ones and zeros and right give the idea to the computer. That is right one way of doing that. But you know, it's a very difficult thing. Lazy දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. Understood? So you can't actually communicate with these. Normally we call this language as the binary language, ones and zeros. So then, guys, it's very difficult task. Difficult means it's almost impossible, right? So then we need, right, anyway. So anyway, that if you want the computer to do something for you, you have to anyway communicate. But the problem is that learning the computer language is kind of a very, right, it's a very extremely difficult task. That is why, guys, that is why we try to find kind of an intermediate, right, intermediate language, which is basically understandable by ourselves as well as the computer. Computer එකටත් තේරෙන අපිටත් තේරෙන මොකක් හරි මැද language එකකට අපිට යන්න වෙනවා. That is where, guys, these high level languages are, right, coming to the play. You know, there are lots of programming languages, right? One is, let's say, Java, you know, Python, right? C, C#, JavaScript. Understood? There are lots of programming languages that we can see, right, in the world. So these programming languages are, guys, different. They have been built focusing different, right, goals. For an example, let's say if you are focusing about, let's say, web development, you know, in this particular webinar series also, we have a separate webinar focusing web development. Then you will learn those stuffs as well. You know, for those that kind of a task, guys, you know, a language like Java, JavaScript, right? Those are very, right, very useful programming languages for these web development cases. Understood? Right? They can be applied for different other cases as well, but mainly they are used for these web-based developments. And another programming language, say that C#, right? It's a very, right, very popular language which can be used for specifically developing, let's say, some desktop, right, desktop applications. And another one, let's say, you know, that languages like, I don't know whether you have learned or heard, guys, there is a language called Kotlin, right? Kotlin is kind of a programming language which is basically working, basically which is used in the Android systems. So basically it is used for developing the Android-based mobile applications. Understood? Right? So like that, different programming languages are, right, there in the world, focusing different purposes. Understood? Right? Then, guys, we'll come to Python. Right? So I have mentioned about different languages of, you know, like Java, JavaScript, let's say, right? We have some more languages like, let's say, there's another language called MATLAB, right? So MATLAB actually is kind of a scientific programming language, which is specifically focusing about some engineering and some mathematical based, right, operations. And there's another language called R language, right? That R language actually is for performing some data science and some more statistics, like, right, again a scientific programming language. So basically those languages are, right, they can perform a specific task, or very, let's say, few set of tasks can be performed with those languages. But guys, do you believe, guys, the language that you are going to learn today in this particular discussion is very special? Why? Compared to the languages I just introduced, right, within these few minutes, you know, this Python, right, it's a very big, flexible, multitasking language. That is the beauty of the Python, guys, because what is this multitasking mean? So we can just talk that thing as a versatile language. It means, guys, the Python can be used for building websites. Python can be used for building desktop applications. Python can be used for building, let's say, mobile applications. Python can be used for, let's say, analyzing data. Python can be used for the scientific computations, right? Okay, there are lots of applications. And I missed one, which is the most important use case of the Python. What is that? You know, these days, we are very seriously, right, talking about what? AI, artificial intelligence. Do you know, guys, this is the programming language, right? This is the programming language, guys, which is highly, right, used for building AI systems, right? Python can be used for building artificial intelligence-based systems as well. So as I have already mentioned, you are having a separate webinar for the introduction to artificial intelligence and machine learning. And there you will be learning about building these applications, basically these basically programs, AI programs, right? Again, there you will be learning how to develop this program with the Python language as well. So that's the thing, right? It's a very, very, very flexible, versatile language. So because of the particular, let's say, the flexibility, or let's say the value of this language, right? It has a very huge programming community, right, all over the world. That means most of the developers, the top developers in the world, right, small kids to, let's say, professional, right, the biggest companies in the world, let's say like Apple, Google, right? So they're using, guys, this language for different purposes, because that can be applied for any right, different cases, right, different domains. So it has a very huge community, you know, because of this particular huge community and the popularity of this particular language, guys. It has a very huge demand in the world. That means with this demand, you know, there are lots of job opportunities, right? There are lots of job opportunities actually opened for this particular programming language. So if you know the Python, guys, it's like kind of a investment in your life, because sometimes you can, right, get a job just because of this particular language. That is the demand it has. ඒ කියන්නේ Python දන්නවා කියන දෙයට විතරක්ම ફોકස් කරලා ළමයි සමහරට ජොබ් එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් කෙනෙක්ට. ඒ තරම් මේ ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකට ලොකු ඩිමාන්ඩ් එකක් ලෝකේ තියෙනවා. Understood? That's a very useful and very powerful programming language, right? So but then you may be having kind of a problem. Okay, මේක කියන්නේ ටිකක් බරපතල ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකක්, ලේසි නෑ මේක, මේ පොඩ්ඩක් දවල කරන්න පුළුවන් මේකෙන්. මේක ඉගෙන ගන්නත් අමාරුත් දන්නේ නැහැ, right? Sometimes you may think like that. Is it difficult to learn? No. This is the thing, guys, you know, right? This is the happiest part. You know, guys, that this is a very highly demanding language, and it has a very huge community, and it has a very huge let's say value in the world. At the same time, guys, compared to other programming languages we are having in the world, you know, guys, this is a very easy programming language. That's the thing, right? It's a very easy programming language, guys, right? So why is it easy? Because the particular syntaxes, right, which are available in this particular programming language, guys, they are very similar to the English language, right? අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කතා බහ කරන සරල ඉංග්‍රීසි තියෙන්නේ, right? ඉංග්‍රීසි වලට ගොඩක් ළඟයි මේ language එකේ තියෙන syntax, right? That is the thing. That is the most, right, important part here. Then guys, you are right, you have a right happy point, right? Why? Because if you have the need of learning this, definitely guys, you guys can learn it, because you don't have to put actually much effort on learning this, because this is a very kind of a very easy language. But guys, compared to other languages, although this is easy, this is a very big language. Make a good art local language. There are lots of syntaxes. හැබැයි ඒවා අමාරු නෑ, right? Not difficult, right? Symbols, not difficult, let's say words. Very simple words are there, but there are lots of syntaxes. Syntaxes සරලයි, හැබැයි ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. That's the thing. Why? Because as I have already mentioned, guys, the versatility of this particular language, the language ගොඩක් versatile language එකක්. මේකේ භාවිතයන් වැඩි. විවිධ දේවල්ට පාවිච්චි කරන්න. There are lots of frameworks, right, which are available inside this particular language. That is the thing, guys, right? So I hope you got some idea about this. All right, so I have here mentioned, guys, that some of the use cases of the Python language, as I have already mentioned, you guys can develop the websites or web applications with this particular language. And then this is very important, under the data science, right? Data science is another kind of a right area where this Python helps. We can perform some data analysis, visualization, right? So basically, there are lots of frameworks. We call them as libraries, right? That I have already mentioned that there are some frameworks like Django, Flask for the web development cases, and then there are some languages like Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib like libraries are there for building, let's say, performing some data analysis and visualization, right, things. And this is the most important use case, guys, the machine learning and AI, artificial intelligence, right? It's a very, 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 right? Actually, this is what the guys, that the main reason behind this, the hype for the Python. Because guys, that web development, this data analysis, and let's say this automation, game development, I forgot to mention, it can also be used for developing the games as well. These GUI or this desktop application development. So those stuff were there in the Python, guys, previously as well. දැන් ඔය මම කියන tools ටික, ඔය කියන මේ options, guys, Python වල කලින් ඉඳන්ම තිබුණා. ඉස්සරත් තිබුණා. හැබැයි මේ Python language එක මේ විදියට ලොකු hype එකකට එන්න ගත්ත දැන් අවුරුදු 5ක 6ක වගේ ඉඳන්නේ. Right? තේරුණා? For an example, let's say when I was actually studying as an undergraduate at University of Colombo, right? In the first year, right, we had a programming module. In that module, guys, we actually learned C. After first year, right? Colombo University ಗೆ ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට මගේ first degree ගන්නකොට අපිට තිබුණා first semester එකේ module එකක් programming වලට. There actually I learned C. අපිට උගන්වන්නේ C language එක. And then in the second semester we had Java. And then in the second year we had basically this JavaScript, right? Likewise. Python was not there, guys. Python තිබුණ නැහැ. Python උගන්වුවෙත් නැහැ අපිට. Right? But Python was there. Python was there, guys. Python ලෝකේ තියෙනවා. හැබැයි එහෙම campus වල උගන්වුවේ නැහැ. So I actually learned the Python for the first time in my life, guys, in the third year. Right? මම third year එනකොට තමයි මට ඕන Python language එක මේ ඉගෙන ගන්න හම්බුනේ. But now you guys No, guys. Even in your school syllabus, now the Python has been added. ඔයාලට තේරෙනවද ඒක? ඔයාලගේ school syllabus වලට පවා Python දාලා තිනවා. And as I have mentioned, guys, now, right, you know, the same university, Columbia University එකේ මම හොඳටම දන්නවා. Now they are teaching Python instead of C. අපි දුකන්න අපි C නේ. Then C නෙමෙයි තියෙන්නේ. Now Python is taught. Why, guys? ඇයි මෙච්චර මේ Python වල ලොකු demand එකපාරට හැදුනේ? The demand is because, guys, of this machine learning and AI. මෙන්න මේක තමයි අත්‍තරම ලොකුම හේතුව, guys. Understood? මේ language එක මෙච්චර popular වෙන්න, මෙච්චර useful වෙන්න, right? Right? The main reason, right, is, guys, machine learning and AI. Actually, that machine learning is kind of a core area under the AI. So basically, we can perform not only the machine learning, guys. That AI is a very right. I will discuss them in that webinar. So AI has some more different areas like natural language processing, image processing, right? Different stuff. So Python is supporting everything, right? Python ඔය හැම එකකම support කරනවා, right? ඕනම දෙයක් අපිට Python වලින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. Anyway, because of this hype for the AI, guys, that is why, guys, this language was, right, very popular. That is why you are learning this as well. Then මේ ඔයාලා ඉගෙන ගන්නෙත් මේක language එක වැදගත් නිසානේ. AI, because of this particular hype. All right, so anyway, this is basically, guys, that I just want to give you kind of a use case of the language. Now you can understand, guys, that why this is very basically important. මේක මෙච්චර වැදගත්යි කියලා ඔයාලා හිතන වෙයි. Right. So now let's move forward, guys. And one thing I have to mention, guys, that I have not mentioned specifically about the data science. Actually, that data analysis and visualization is kind of sub parts of the data science. So data science actually is also, right, it's actually a kind of a parallel subject to the machine learning and AI. Right? Data science කියලා කියන්නේ તો AI වලටම ළඟින් යන ඒත් එක්කම එක යන subject එක. මෙතන mention කරලා නැහැ. But, guys, even this Python is playing a very huge role in the data science applications, except this data analysis and visualization. මෙතන දෙකක් නේ mention කරලා තියෙන්නේ. මේක applications තියෙනවා. Right? So anyway, so I hope you got my idea. Now I have here mentioned, guys, that some of the job areas that you can focus if you have learned the Python, and some of the areas that you can actually focus in your career life. You know, you can be a Python developer in different areas. You can just develop some applications. Applications means web development or desktop applications or whatever the thing. And even you can actually focus about the full stack developing, right? Full stack, basically front end, back end, the combination of the front end and back end. So the developers who are actually responsible both, right, front end and back end together are called as the full stack developing. So the Python has capabilities of, right, this full stack development. And then especially, guys, that compared to the front end, the back end means the particular coding part, right, which is inside the software. Again, front end එක කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? front end එක කියන්නේ අපිට මතු පිටින් පේන දේ. ඔයාලා වෙබ්සයිට් එකක් පරි මොකක් හරි software එකක් ගත්තම ඔයාලට interface එකක් පේනවනේ. ඒකට තමයි front end එක කියලා කියන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒකේ පේන දෙයට වඩා ඇතුලෙන් ලොකු process එකක් වෙනවනේ. database වලට connect වෙලා ඒකෙන් data අරගෙන අරක මේක කරලා දාන්න එපා එළියට. අන්න ඔය ඇතුලේ වෙන process එක තමයි back end කියන්නේ. So the thing is, guys, Python has, right, more capabilities. Yeah, it has capabilities to deal with the front end as well. But compared to the front end, guys, there are lots of, right, there are lots of options are given for the back end developments as well. So, and then sometimes these are general, right, general titles or roles, but you know there are some different right specific roles, guys. The mention roles තියෙනවා. මම පෙන්නන්නේ ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් තියෙන jobs. And specifically, guys, that let's say if you are focusing about this data science like field, guys, you know, being a data scientist, right? is actually helped a lot with the Python, right? And data analyst, data engineering, right? And then machine learning engineering. So here I have not mentioned about the AI engineering, right? So cloud engineering, understood. And let's say IoT and robotics, right? Related areas, automation engineers, right? So lots of areas are there, guys, right? Where you have to use the Python. That means if you know the Python, and if you have, right, that knowledge or the skill with this language, guys, you guys can use it anywhere, and you can actually be a star in the computer science industry. Or computing industry ගේ තරුවක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් guys. Python name හොඳට පුළුවන් කෙනෙක් වුණාම. Right? All right. So I hope now you got some idea. So apart from these guys, I have just mentioned some more different roles that you can write. So I have just mentioned some of the roles, that DevOps engineering, automation. I just mentioned that one, and then cybersecurity, web developer, game developer, and even some specific areas like, let's say, that biological, data analysis areas like bioinformatics and IoT, right? There are lots of job fields are there, right? Job fields are open for this particular language. All right, guys. So I hope now you got a kind of a understanding about this particular language, and you should now think about, why you should learn this. What is the importance of learning this? What kind of value that you will be getting, right, when you learn this? So anyway, right. And the thing is, this guy. So that this is kind of a This is like a right. It's kind of a knowledge sharing session. But I want, guys, you to interact with me, right? So it's not like a lesson that you are familiar with at the school, guys. So you have to basically ask the questions, and you guys can share your right feedbacks, or let's say share your ideas, right? And then I may ask some questions from you, then you have to answer them, something like this, right? So you can just interact, you can just engage with this particular session. So I really enjoy, right? If you actually so I don't want actually you to right uh, listen to this particular session in a very boring way, right? I want you to actually right basically enjoy this session. That is what uh, my main purpose, right? So then I want you to talk to me, and you know that but actually we have actually given you the access to unmute your microphones. But the thing is, at the same time, I must say that, yeah, you can actually talk lots of stuff, but again, we have very limited time as well. But I try to manage, right? So this particular time to talk with you, and then everything, right, we can do within this particular session in a manageable way. But at least, guys, that if you can't actually unmute yourself and right ask the questions, or let's say share your feedbacks, you can use the chat box, right? You can use chat box, and you can ask any question there. And sometimes I may not be able to answer the questions at the moment that you send the message, but within I'm explaining the concept, whenever I get a chance, I will definitely answer. සමහර මට ඔයාලා මැසේජ් එක දාන වෙලාවම සමහරක් විට රිප්ලයි කරන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද මොනවද දෙයක් මම ඔයාලට එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරමින් ඉන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මම අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඒ සෙෂන් එක යන අතරතුර ඔයාලට මොන හරි ඉෂුස් තියෙනවම බලලා I will give the right answers. Anyway, I just want to yes. So we will be we'll be actually giving you these materials as well, right? So we'll discuss it later. So anyway, I want just to know, guys. So far, I just introduced about the language, right? So, guys, can you use the chat box and type yes in the chat box if you understood the things I just discussed so far? Can you guys please type yes in chat box if you understood what I just mentioned within the session so far? All right. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much, dear students, because I can't see you guys. Then only way to actually understand what you are having is your responses. All right. Thank you so much, guys. So okay, time to time, guys. Time to time, I ask the same question from you, right? Type yes in chat box if you understood likewise. So I believe that you will actually respond, because then only I can actually understand whether you understood what I talk about. All right, guys, let's start the discussion. So I'm going to now discuss about the Python language. Right? This is a kind of a yeah. This is a kind of a very practical session, guys. So here the theory part is very less. So I just wanted to give you a kind of a brief, right, background understanding about the language, right, before we start the coding stuffs. Uh, this is a kind of a right, almost this kind of a practical thing, right? So then you can have a right good experience in the developments within this session. All right, so I will discuss the concepts one by one, right? We'll start from the very basic level, right? We are going to discuss about how can we implement simple mathematical operations, relational operations, logical operations with the Python language, right? And then we'll step by step move to some, right, uh, some basically concepts in the program language called, let's say, the data types, and then variables, comments, and then we'll move to right bit more advanced stuffs like uh, flow control structures. And under the flow control structures, I'll just discuss about some conditioning, right, statements, and then we'll move to the repetitions, right, and then we'll discuss about some user-defined methods, right? So don't worry about these fancy stuff, guys. You'll be getting right, getting familiar with these technical names, right, while session is being conducted. And additionally to these fundamental stuffs, guys, so today I'm going to give you a kind of a brief overview about a kind of another different programming framework called object-oriented programming, right? So we'll be discussing that one as well. All right, so let's start. Okay, first of all, guys, when you want to work with the Python language, you know, it's like a software, right? So basically, it's a software which is helping you to what? Develop, right? Python is like a programming language is also what? It's also a kind of a software which is helping you to develop something, right? So then if you want to, let's say, use that software, you have to first of all what? Install it to the computer, right? To install it to the computer, guys, first of all, you have to download it, right? Okay, so to download it, guys, you have to just search in the Google, right? When you search it, you can just search Python download, and then you can have, right, these different links. So I'll be going for this particular link, guys. So when I go there, you can see that here it has given me, right, uh, some links, right, where I can download this particular language to my computer. So, and if you are using a kind of a Windows operating system based computer, my computer Windows nan thiyenne, you guys can directly download it very easily with this particular tab. මේක press කරාම button එක press කරාම right you can see right automatically it will be downloaded to the computer, right? So it's very easy. But let's say if you're using some other right some other programming, let's say a kind of operating system based computer, then for an example, let's say if you're using right Mac computer, then or let's say if you're using some kind of I don't think that most of you guys are using Mac or this Linux, but I mean that let's say there is one who is using right some other computer, let's say operating systems like Linux or let's say Mac OS. For you guys, right? So here more right links are given. You can click and you can just find the downloading right option, and you can just download and install. Understood, right? All right, so the thing is this, guys, so here right I can't actually give you some additional time to download it and install because that we have very limited time, so we have to discuss lots of stuffs. So it's totally fine, you guys can right, so I don't give an additional time to do it, but while the session is being right conducted, you can do it and you can just get it to the computer. But now what I do is in my machine I have already installed it, right? So I directly use it and I will quickly discuss the concepts, right? So definitely, guys, that you will be getting, because we are going to record this session, right? So these recordings will also be shared to you. Got my point, right? So when we share the recordings with you, then you guys can right leisurely watch the recording and you can practice these stuff by yourself. Understood, right? You guys can practice these stuff leisurely by referring this video. Then I think that you guys can do it. Okay, right, good. So then I'm not going to give additional time to install, but you guys can do it as well. That's fine. But take this time, guys, take this particular moment to actually see what I'm doing and try to understand the concepts I'm explaining to you, right? And then whenever you have a kind of, let's say, a kind of a question, or let's say kind of a doubt point, if you want to clarify, you guys can right ask it anytime, and I will definitely help you. Okay, even after this particular program I can help you, right? All right, guys, let's start. Okay, so now I have downloaded this. So since I have already installed, guys, I'm not going to install it again, right? So I can just find my application. So basically this particular language which was downloaded and I have already installed. I can go to the guys my start menu, and if I search, let's say Python, you know, when I search the Python, guys, it gives you different right links like this. So I'm going to just click this particular IDLE. This is what, guys, when I install the Python to my computer, I'm getting from the computer as the interface to code with this particular language. Got my point, right? So I just click this one. When I click it, guys, you can see it gives me a kind of environment like this way. And this is the place, guys. This is the place I'm conducting. So I'm actually coding my right Python, whatever the code. So thing is, guys, that actually this particular right environment is called as the IDLE shell. Sometimes we can just call this thing as the console. And simply, this is the place, guys. This is the place where the particular outputs of the codes are right given. So the coding actually we can do in a different file, right? We call them as actually a Python script, right? You can just open this one, guys, and just go to the file and click this new file, right? When I click this, guys, you can see that I'm getting this kind of environment, and there, right, I can simply right code. And this is the particular right environment I'm going to code, guys. When I code something here and when I run this thing, the particular output will be visible in this particular shell. That is what happening. I hope clear. Right, let me just write a simple Python code. So don't worry about these syntaxes, guys, because I'm going to basically introduce some of these syntaxes within this session itself. Now I just want to show you a kind of a simple demonstration about this. And again, don't think about these syntaxes at the moment. Right, so I'm going to just use particular function, let's say called print. Say just put here 10 plus 20, a very simple, right? A very simple code, right? Code right? So print 10 plus 20, right? Now, first of all, guys, I have to save this particular file. Save, right? So let me just go to this file and let's say just click this particular save, right? When I'm, let's say, clicking this one, you can see that here I'm getting, right, a Windows Explorer to save my file. So I'll just go somewhere. Let's say I just click this particular Python and I just put here, let's say, I just put here first, right? Say first program, something like this, right? I just saved, I just gave a name here and just click this as save. When I click, you can see that it gives you, right, the name like this. The extension for this particular file is .py. So now, guys, I can, right, run it. So now I can simply, right, run this particular program very easily. You can see if I just go to this particular run option and click this run module, here we have an option called run module. You can see, guys, now it has given me the output here. So what is the answer, guys? 10 plus 20 is 30. It's very simple, right? Let me write another example. Let's say print, let's say 10 minus 5, something like this. So I have to save this first of all. And then if I run this thing, you can see it gives you the answer for that as well. I hope you got, right, some kind of understanding about what I did here. But you can see, guys, this particular environment is a very empty environment, right? The particular environment that we are getting, right, after we install the Python is a very boring environment, guys. මේකට හරිම කම්මැලි environment එකක් නේ. මොකුත් නෑ නිකන් සුදු පාට environment එකක් තියෙන්නේ. හරිම හිස් ගතියක් තියෙනවා. Understood? So then actually, guys, that you may not be feeling, right? You may not be actually motivating to code in this particular environment. Harima empty, guys. There are very less, right, options we can see. So that is why, guys, actually this particular nature actually is not only for the Python, but also for the particular languages like, let's say, Java, right? Let's say C, C Sharp, like those kind of languages also, guys. When you install it for the first time to the computer, right? Definitely they're like this. When Java කියන එක install කරලා බලන්න, right? ඒකේ මෙහෙමවත් නැහැ. So basically, when you install the Java, guys, you have to always code in the text documents, and then you have to open it using the command prompt, right? So something like that. So these are very user unfriendly, right? So that is why, guys, that is why the developers have actually developed, right? Developed some softwares, some specific softwares, right, to code with these programming languages to make actually the programming much more user friendly to the developers. Again, develop කරන කෙනාට ආසාවෙන් develop කරන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට, පහසුවෙන් develop කරන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට options දාලා, right? softwares හදලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට softwares පුළුවන් use කරලා අපේ coding කරන්න. අන්න ඒවට අපි කියනවා, guys, ඒවට කියනවා ළමයි අපි integrated development environments. We call them as IDEs. අපි කියනවා IDE කියලා, right? Integrated development environments. You know, for any programming language that we are having at the moment in the world, guys, we have these IDEs. For an example, let's say for the Java, we have the very popular IDEs like Eclipse, NetBeans, And then we have some popular IDEs like Visual Code, which is supporting lots of programming languages, including Python. So, and there's another language called R language. You know, there's an IDE called R Studio. Like that, understood? There are lots of IDEs which are available in the world to help the developers to code. Likewise, guys, for the Python also, we have a very nice bunch of IDEs. අපිට Python වලටත් ළමයි IDEs ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. අපිට develop කරන්න help කරන right environments ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. Right? What are those? Right. One of the IDE, very popular IDE, which is used in the industry one, is guys PyCharm. Right? PyCharm is kind of a IDE which is used in the industry very highly. And then we have another IDE called Spider IDE. And then we have another IDE called Visual Code, right? Not only for the Python, it's supporting for lots of other programming languages as well. There's another IDE called Jupyter, right? So these IDEs are actually guys supporting us to code. Again, අපිට code කරන්න තමයි ළමයි උදව් කරන්නේ මේ IDEs, right? So, but don't get misunderstood, right? So the language is the same. Programming language එක එකයි. තේරුණාද? Right? For an example, let's say that Jupyter use කරත්, PyCharm use කරත්, Visual Code වල ගැහුවත්, programming language එක Python. එකම දේ Python develop කරන environment එක වෙනස්. එක එක IDEs support කරන්න එක එක options එක්ක. හරි? Right. Today, guys, I'm going to discuss, right, this particular session with a very, very, very user-friendly IDE called Jupyter, right? Hari. Other session එකේ, right, මම ඔයාලත් එක්ක කතා කරන්න ළමයි Python language එක ගැන. Jupyter කියන, right? අපේ Jupyter notebook කියලා කියනවා. Jupyter or Jupyter notebook. මෙන්න මේක පාවිච්චි කරලා තමයි මම අද ඔයාලත් එක්ක මේ Python discussion එක අරන් යන්නේ, right? So this Jupyter notebook, it's a very, right, very user friendly, right, very popular, very powerful tool that you can use. So unfortunately, guys, since the time is not sufficient for us, right, වෙලාව ලොකුවට අපිට අද ලැබිලා නැති නිසා තව අපිට ඇත්තටම පැය දෙකක්ට වඩා ඒ වගේ කාලයක් අපිට තියෙන්නේ. So actually I used, right, some time to explain about this language as well as introduce this language. And because of that reason, guys, that I will not be able to explain about this Jupyter platform in detail, because this is also like a very nice platform that you can use this for different right use cases. මේක අපිට විවිධ භාවිතයන් වලට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි අද මම මේ session එක වෙලාවේදී කතා කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ Jupyter platform එක ගැන, right? You guys can search in the Google and even YouTube. You can search and you can try to learn about Jupyter. And even, guys, I will share some supportive basically links for you to get an idea about how to install this platform. මේ Jupyter platform එක install කරන විදිය ගැන මම ඔයාලට වෙනම supportive materials ටිකක් share කරන්න. හරි? So then you guys can install it at your home, right, and make some experience with Jupyter. Today, I'm not going to discuss about the installation process, guys. I'm going to directly use it for coding with Python, right? ඉතින් මම දැන් අද ඇත්තටම මේක ඔයාලට Jupyter platform එක explain කරලා ඉන්නේ නැහැ. මම කෙලින්ම ඉතින් මේක use කරනවා අපේ main purpose එකට. but ඔයාලට මම වෙනම share කරන්නම් Jupyter platform එක install කරගන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා, right? ඊට පස්සේ ඔයාලට practice කරන්න පුළුවන්. But if you are familiar with already, let's say some other IDE, for an example, let's say PyCharm, let's say Visual Code, just totally fine. You guys can work with that. And ඔයාලා මේ වෙද්දි මොන හරි වෙනත් IDE එකක් එක අපි හිතමුකෝ මේ වැඩ කරලා පුරුදුයි කියන්නකෝ, right? Let's say you are familiar with the Visual Code. It's a very popular, right, platform. Yes, totally fine. You can work with that. ඔයාලා ඒකත් එක්ක right මම මේ explain කරන ඒවා ටික කරා යන්න. Totally fine, right? Okay, so let's start the discussion, guys. All right, so I'll just come to my Jupyter platform, right? So I'm going to now right use this particular environment to explain this particular language. So මම මේකේ තියෙන features එම explain කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ, right? I can't actually explain these features because the time is not sufficient. So I will separately, right, give you a kind of a set of materials to explore these Jupyter platforms. You guys can do it, right, leisurely, or if you have any doubts, you guys can contact me anytime. I will help you. Right now, I just use it, and I'm going to explain you how to code. Right. So the particular environment actually I'm going to use for coding, it is this. You know, this is the place actually I'm going to code. This particular environment is called as a cell. Cell එකක් කියලා කියනවා, Jupyter cell එකක් කියනවා. So we can basically write code in this particular platform. Even we can create, right, different cells. අපිට ඕනතරම් cells create කරන්න පුළුවන්, right? You can write anything in these particular cells. So I'm going to now, right, use this particular environment to, right, show the Python language. All right, let's start with the first, right, topic under the Python discussion, guys. So I'm going to first of all explain you guys basically how can we, right, perform a simple mathematical operations with the Python language. And again, I'm just reminding guys that I can't actually spend much time on discussing these stuffs because the time is not sufficient. So I'll try my best to explain the fundamental stuffs. So when you get the recording, you guys can go through this particular recording and do the things by yourself and try to understand. And if you are having any question, you guys can come to me. You guys can, right, put them forward anytime, right? Then I can help you. Right, okay, let's start this item. So Python, guys, is supporting lots of mathematical operations. You guys can perform lots of mathematical operations, guys. So yeah, I have mentioned, guys, that some of the very popular, right, mathematical operations that you can perform with the Python language. You can perform the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? Something called integer division, power, modulus operator, right? By some different, right, operations can be performed with Python. So I have given, guys, the symbols which are actually helping us to perform these operations. So let's quickly come to Jupyter platform and I'll explain, guys, that how to implement these stuffs. All right, so the thing is, right, before we proceed to the technical stuffs, I will introduce, guys, one of the very useful Python functions which will actually help us in different ways to make something visible, right? So Python වල අපිට යම් කිසි දෙයක් එළියට පෙන්න ගන්න ඕන. කියන්නේ එළියට අපිට output එක ගන්න ඕන නම්, guys, you have to use always this print function. මෙන්න මේක තමයි function එක. So you have to write the things inside this particular print function. A print function එක ඇතුලේ තමයි ළමයි ඔය අපි ඔය ටික ලියන්නේ. Understood? All right. Okay, let's start with the thing. Let's say I just put a very simple mathematical operation, right? So print, let's say 10 plus 20. So if I run this thing, guys, so in the Jupyter platform, we have several ways of running a particular cell, guys. One way you can just click this particular button, or we have another mechanism, guys. You can just click this shift key and the enter key together, right? So for my easiness, guys, I will use this method actually most of the time, because that when I go to the cell and when I press the shift and enter, I can get the output very easily at the particular place itself. අපිට code එක තියෙන area එකේම output එක බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්, right? හරි. That is actually one of the use case or kind of a user friendliness of this particular platform. And you guys can see this is a very simple syntax. The මාඩි තාම සරල syntax එකක්, right? Print 10 plus 20. Very important. So if you are, let's say, familiar with some other languages like, let's say, Java, C, likewise, you know, guys, to get this particular simple output, you have to write bunch of, right, lines. මේ පොඩි output එක ගන්න Java වගේ language එකයි so lines කීපයක් ලියන්න ඕනේ. But in Python, it can be, right, can be given very easily, right, very simple. So I'll get some more, right, more things. Let's say I just want to get the subtraction, right? say 20 minus 10, something like that. You know, let's say if I want to, let's say, get the multiplication, let's say 5 times 3, you can use this symbol for getting the multiplication, you know, that I mentioned. If I run this in case 15, say division, let's say 5 divided by 2, right? You know, it's the answer is given like this. So it's very simple, guys. But itam pahasuwen walata peyනවා, right? අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් මේකේ outputs, right? Very simple, right? You can very easily, right, get the outputs with this, right? So that is about, guys, that getting the mathematical operations, right? All right. So you know, guys, that when I come back to the lecture note, give me 1 minute, guys. Okay, you know that there are different right operations given. So we have discussed about basically this particular plus symbol, minus, right? This one, these are very simple operations. Additionally to these four, guys, that we have this integer division, right? What does integer division means? Integer division means, guys, basically right, if you have, let's say, divided, for an example, let's say if you have divided, let's say 5 by 2, what it gives is, guys, you know that here it gives you the entire division, the particular answer that you divide some value. But the integer division, guys, is giving you just the integer part of the division, right? Another example, let's say, right, let's say 10 divided by, let's say 10 divided by 3, something like that. You know, there are 3 p's inside this 10. The answer is 3, right? This is the thing. And if you have divided like this way, the remainder, you know that if you have divided this 5 by 2, the remaining value is 1. Remainder, guys, can be taken very easily with what? With the modulus operator. This is called as, guys, the modulus operator. It's percentage symbol. It gives you the remainder. ඉතිරිය කොච්චරක් තියෙනවා. ඒක බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් අපිට modulus operator එක දාලා. දැන් මම තව උදාහරණයක් පෙන්නන්නම් හිතන්න. Think like this way. Now let's say you want to divide this by 4. Right? You know, if you divide the 10 by 4, there are 2 4s inside the 10. The remainder is what? 2. 10ට 4ේම 2යි ඉතුරු 2යිනේ. ඒක තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. ඉතුරු 2. 4 වරක් 2 8යි. 10 ඍණ 8 කියන්නේ 2යි. There are 2, right? That is the remaining part. So I hope you can understand, guys, that these, right, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right, these stuffs are very, right, useful and very popular, right, operations we can perform. And the thing is, guys, even guys, that these particular operations we can perform together. මේ අපිට එකපාර එකවර කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. එහෙමද? So you have learned in your school, guys, about the BODMAS rule, right? අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන අර වරහන අල්ලායන්න කී තියෙන්නේ order එකක්, the order of the calculations. In English we call that thing as the BODMAS rule. Basically brackets, order, division, right, multiplication, addition, subtraction. That is the order, right? You can actually perform the operations based on this BODMAS rule, guys. Let's say 10 minus 5, 10 minus, let's say 4, one operation, let's say just divide this particular thing by, let's say 5. Let's say I'm going to multiply this entire thing again. I just put this thing, let's say I'm make a print එක පොඩක් අයින් කරලා පෙන්නන්න. එතකොට තේරෙයි මම මේ කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා. Now let's say I have divided this 10 minus 4 by 5, and then let's say I just multiply this entire thing, let's say by 2, and subtract, let's say 10 from this particular entire answer, right? And what I do is, guys, from this particular entire, okay, let me just go with this one, right? This is a very simple, right, operation. ඔතන 10 ඍණ 7 4 6නේ 6 බෙදනවා 5න් ඒ උත්තර වැඩි කරනවා 2න් ඒකෙන් 10ක් අඩු කරනවා. Understood? So if say if I'm going to print this thing, you can see it's the answer minus 7.6. මොකද ඉස්සෙල්ලා වෙන්නේ? First of all, the brackets will perform, and then this one, this bracket, and then multiplication will perform, and then, guys, you will be getting the subtraction. That is for the minus 7.6. Likewise, guys, even the Python, right, is supporting, right, to perform these multiple operations together as well. අපිට එකපාර operations කීපයක් conduct කිරීමේ හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. That's totally fine. All right. So far, guys, I have actually written these cells. So I have written this one in the one cell, another cell, another cell. But guys, in Jupyter platform, even you guys can write lots of stuff in a single cell on. අපි ඔන්න එකම cell එකේ කීපයක් run කරන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. Let's say that 10 plus 20 and let's say print, let's say let me just write another, let's say 10 minus 5, right, to the power 2, right? This is the exponent, that means the power. The higher ඍණ පහ කියන එකේ දෙවෙනි බලය, right? You can take, you can take like 10 minus 5 is 5 to the power 2 is 25. Like, I hope clear. So these are the simple mathematical operations, guys, we can perform, right? So let's move to the next one, guys. Relational operations, right? Relational operations means, guys, that it's like a comparison. We can compare, right, different, let's say, values. We can just compare whether it's greater than something, whether it's less than something, whether it's greater than or equal. You have learned these stuffs in your mathematics in your school, guys. Greater than or equal, less than or equal, whether it is actually equal, not equal. Likewise, we can actually perform some different, right, operations. And these are very simple, right, symbols that you are familiar with, right? Right? These are very, right, simple operations, right? So we'll see, guys, how can we perform that kind of a right operation in Python. Very simple. Let's say I just want, let's say, print, let's say 10 greater than 5. This statement is a correct statement, right? Meka harine. The higher pahata wada වැඩි. So the thing is this, guys. So if you have run this kind of operation, run karo, right? So it is giving always, guys, two different answers, right? One answer is true, another answer is false. That means, let's say, if this particular statement is a correct statement, may statement එක හරි නම්, if this statement is a correct statement, guys, it gives you what? True as the answer. If this particular statement, let's say, it's an incorrect statement, එක වැරදි නම්, මේ statement එක වැරදි නම්, guys, then it's giving you what? False. That is the thing. Let's run this thing. You can see it gives you true because the statement is correct, guys. That is fine. But let's say, if I write another one, let's say at 6 is, let's say, less than 2. This statement is an incorrect statement. Make a valid statement. That means we're getting what? False. Understood, guys? But let's say, 6 less than 10. Now what happens? This is the correct statement. Then you're getting true. Likewise, right? Let's try more example. Let's say 5, right? Let's say 5 is equal to 5. It checks what? 5 equals 5. Pahata samanada. That is what it checks. Pahata samanada, right? Yes, it is equal. That is why it gives you true, right? But let's say 10 equals 6. The higher samanada. You can understand it is not equal. Then it is giving you what? False. Also, guys, you can simply, right, perform these right, relational operations as well with this Python language. So when you practice these stuff at your home, ගෙදරදී practice කරද්දී, guys, right? So definitely you must practice and get familiar. You guys can try more, right? So here I have shown guys different right operations. For an example, let's say what this particular thing is showing, greater than or equal. That means greater than what? Equal උනත් මේක දෙන්නේ true කියලා. Otherwise false. මේ මොකද්ද මේ? Not equal. සමාන නැද්ද කියලා බලන්න, right? So how to check that thing? Let's say, right? Let's say print, and let's say 7 is not equal 8. Definitely, guys, 8ට සමාන නැහැනේ. 7 is not equal to 8. That means it's giving you what? True. That's the thing. But let's say if you have put here 7 equals 8, it gives you false. Got my point? So I hope now you got my idea, right? So please practice these stuff at your home. Right? That is about the relational operations, guys. Now let's move to the logical operations. So basically, guys, the logical operations means you guys can perform multiple relational operations together with these logical operators. Sometimes, guys, you may have learned in your school logic gates. Well, it's called logic gates. In the logic gates, guys, there are different logic gates, and logic gate, or, right, not, XOR, there are different. ඔය ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි in Python guys we have only 3. And or not. Another nice thing is, guys, if you are familiar with other programming languages, you may have seen, guys, for representing and or not, these kind of, let's say, these kind of operations, they're actually giving some different symbols. For example, let's say for the and, sometimes we use this ampersand symbol. For the not, we use the exclamation symbol. Likewise, අර විශ්මයාර්ථ ලකුණ භාෂාවන ඔකට not එකට right අර and කියලා තියෙන symbol එකක් තියෙන්නේ ඒක use කරන ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මොනවටද and වගේව call කරන්නේ හැබැයි in Python, right, in Python guys, right, in Python you don't have to think about, right, you don't have to think about these symbols, because you guys can simply use these words. අපිට මේ words වලින් පුළුවන් guys මොකක්ද මේ වැඩේ කරගන්න, right. Let me just quickly show it to you, right. වෙලාව ලොකු නැති නිසා මම ඉක්මනින් කරන් යන්න, but මේක අනිවාර්යෙන් ඔයාලට recordings හම්බුනහම so you have to actually do it by yourself, right. අනිවාර්යෙන් ඔයාලා practice කරන්න ඕනේ, right. So let's think about a simple logical operation. Let's say this is the thing guys, first of all මට අමතකුණා, right, අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලම බලමු මොකද්ද මේ and or not කියන්නේ කියලා. මම හිතන්නේ ඔයාලා දන්නවා, right, you guys have learned in your school, but that's fine, I'll just brief it again. So basically guys, I mentioned that this and or not, these are actually used for comparing multiple relational operations, right. So let's take two different operations. Operation diagram, you know, in each operation guys you are getting either true or false. Right, this is the thing guys, in the and operation guys, it always checks whether both of these relational operations are true. And they can check කරලා බලන්න guys මේ relational operations දෙකම true ද කියලා. Understood? It is checking whether both of these operations are true, right. දෙකම true not, let's say if let's say both of these are true, then if both of these are true, and then guys and is releasing true. Got my point, right. And now the o එකේ check කරන්නේ මොකක්ද? O is checking guys whether at least one of the statement is true. එක statement එකක්වත් trueද එකක්වත් trueද, that's what it checks, right. So let's say at least one is true, definitely guys o is releasing true, otherwise false, right. Not කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Not is a very nice kind of operation guys. Actually what the not does is guys, not it converting the output to the opposite version. For an example, let's say we have a kind of relational or logical operation, let's say which is giving true as the output. But when you have put the not in front of that particular operation, guys, it will convert that particular true to false. Let's say your actual output, let's say it is false. If you have put the not in front of that, guys, that false will be converted to the true. That is what the not does. Not will always convert the particular output to the opposite version of that. All right, let's see, right. Let's say I have 5 greater than 2. You know, this statement is a correct statement. If I run this thing, you guys can see it gives you true. But what happens guys if you have put, all right, so let's talk about the and or first, and then we'll come to the not guys. All right, now this is a one statement, this statement is true, right. So let's say we just put another statement, let's say 3 less than 5. This is another correct statement, right. Now guys, let's say if I put in between this particular two, right, let's say and, now what happens? You know, this statement is correct, this statement is also correct, then and will give you what? True. The answer is true. But let's say guys, at least one statement, let's say it is incorrect. For an example, let's say this statement is incorrect, this one is correct, but guys and is giving you what? False, because in the and operator both statements should be correct. But guys, let's say instead of the and, let's say you have put here o. If you have put here o guys, you know, this statement is incorrect definitely, but this statement is correct because of this particular single, right. So we have at least one statement which is correct now. Then guys, if you run this thing, you are getting true. But you know guys, in the operator also guys, let's say if the both statements are incorrect, then it gives you what? False. I hope you understood what I was talking about. Got my point? So AND is actually expecting both statements to be corrected. If at least one statement is say incorrect, it gives you false. But in the OR statement, guys, it's okay to have at least one because no need of actually having both statements to be corrected. But guys, last one, not. What is this? Let's say you have 5 greater than 3. This is the correct statement. You know, if I run this thing, you are getting what? True as the answer. But let's say, guys, if you have put the not in front of this, what will happen, guys? This is the beauty, guys. It gives you what? False. It will completely make this particular output the opposite version. Another example, let's say print, let's say 6 is, let's say, less than 2. You know, this is a false statement. Definitely, guys, you are getting false as the answer. But let's say if you have put the not in front of this, what happens? You are getting the true. It will convert it to the opposite version of that. It's a very nice thing. Another example, let's say, let me just write like this. Let's say I just put here 3 greater than 2, right? And I just put here and let's say 5 less than 6. You know, both statements are correct. No issue. Both statements are correct. Then you're getting what? True from this particular output, right? Let's say another one. Let's say 6 less than 2. This is the incorrect statement. And let's say 8 greater than 7. Definitely, guys, this statement is correct. But this one is incorrect. Then definitely, guys, this particular part is giving you what? False. Now you have here true, you have here false. What happens, guys, if you had put here, let's say, oh, what happens? Can you please type in chat box what kind of answer that we can expect here? Now, this is a correct statement. This is a false statement. But you have put here, oh, what may be the answer? What may be the output? Brilliant, guys. So you have given the correct answer. Exactly. I think almost everyone has given the correct answer, guys. Definitely, guys, your answer is what? True. Because why? In the true, guys, at least one correct statement is sufficient, dear students. But let's say, guys, if you had put, let's say, you had put in front of this everything, let's say not statement, what happens? It will be considered false. I hope you understood, guys, what I just explained. මං හිතනවා මම explain කරේ පැහැදිලි කියලා. Right? අපි not දාපු ගමන් guys අර කස දින ඔක්කොම මොකද වෙන්නේ? Opposite version එකට කරකිනවා. That's the thing. Guys, can you please type yes in chat box if you understood so far? Please type yes in chat box if you understood so far. All right. Thank you so much, dear students, for your responses. Right. Brilliant. So I hope now you have the understanding about how can we perform these logical operations, right? So now we discussed about the simple operations like in say mathematical operations, relational operations, logical operations, right? So I hope now you are having kind of a simple understanding about how can we use this language to perform some operations like this. But we can actually perform some more operations like bitwise operations, right? But we don't discuss those stuffs here, right? But if you have any interest, guys, you can just you can basically search and try to learn. And if you have any interest, you can actually contact me. I will guide you more, right? So, and whenever that you get this particular recording, guys, please practice by yourself because I can't actually give some additional time now to practice because we don't have much time here. But you have to practice them by yourself when you get the recording. Now try to understand. Right? You can just listen to me. You can just watch what I'm doing and try to understand the concept, guys. When you get the recording, please practice. All right. Okay, so now I explained about the logical operations as well. So I hope now you are having kind of very fundamental understanding about this language. Let's go to the next one, guys. Right. So all right. So data types. You know, guys, not only the Python, but also in any programming language, guys, there are data types, right, which can be handled by that particular specific programming language. ඕනම programming language එකක් ගත්තාම තමයි ඒ language එකට එයාට ගනුදෙනු කරන්න පුළුවන් දත්ත වර්ග තියෙනවා, data types. හරිද? ඒක හැම language එකකම බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් අපිට. හරිද? ඒ වගේ තමයි Python වලත් එයාට ගනුදෙනු කරන්න පුළුවන් data types තියෙනවා. Right? ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් guys Python වලට ගණුතුන පුළුවන් data types 4ක් අපිට දකින්න පුළුවන්. There are 4, right? Data types that we can see. So we actually specifically call them as primitive data. අපි වට primitive data types කියලා කියනවා. Right? Anyway, what are those 4? Integers, floats, booleans, strings. ඔන්න ඔය කියන data types 4 තමයි ළමයි Python වලට වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් types 4. මොනවද ඔය කියන්නේ? Right? All right. You know, you have learned in your school as well, guys. Integers කියලා කියන්නේ මොනවද English වලින්? සිංහල අපි කියමු guys නිකිල සංඛ්‍යා. නිකිල කියන්නේ මොනවද? නිකිල කියන්නේ guys ධන ඍණ බිඳුව තියෙන පූර්ණ සංඛ්‍යා. Understood? The whole numbers which are having minus, positive, or let's say 0 values. Understood? We call them as integers in English. So, examples, let's say 10, integer value එකක් මේ තියෙන්නේ, right? Let's say 20, integer value එකක්. Let's say minus 5, integer value, right? Let's say 0, integer value, right? We can simply write C. So the thing is, guys, we can actually guys that check. අපිට check කරලා බලන්න පුළුවන් guys. මේකේ type එක මොකක්ද කියලා. මේකේ මොන type එකද? We have a very nice function called type function, guys. Type කියලා function එකක් තියෙනවා. So whenever you put something to the type function, guys, it is releasing what is the type of this, right? So let me just print the type. type function එක print එක අස දාලා type කරනවා. මේ දින function එක මේකෙන් output එකක් තියෙනවානේ. ඒ output එක print එකට දාලා තමයි අපිට output එක පෙන්වන්නේ එළියට. Right? Let's run this thing. You can see it gives you what? Int. Further it's giving you class int. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයා අයිති වෙන්නේ int කියන class එකට. In other words, int කියන type එක තමයි මෙයා අයිති. Right? මේකට දාලා බලමු අපි. Right? Let's say if I get, let's say 20 here, you know, it's int. Understood? These are called as, guys, integer values. Then what else? Anitya Varman. Right. Float. Float means, guys, the decimal values. Metin, Dashama Sankhya. Right? You know, right? It can be negative as well. Totally fine. It's a negative 5 point something like that. These are called as, guys, float values. Even make it පුළුවන් අපිට check කරලා බලන්න මොකද්ද? Let's say print, right? print කරන මොකද්ද? Type එක. Right? Sorry. I print the type of this particular value, let's say. You know, it gives you what? Float. Make a float value. Got my point? Let's put this one, let's say at 7.0. Let's say 7.0, right? It's a float value. Let's think about this one. Now let's say print, let's say type, right? Minus, let's say minus 5 point something. And if I run this, you can see it gives you fault. Understood, guys? This is the second type that we can actually work with in the Python language. So we discussed about the integers and the floats now. What else? We have another type called, guys, Boolean, right? Boolean type. මොකද Boolean කියලා කියන්නේ? The thing is, guys, Boolean means, guys, true and false. True, false. So we actually, right, saw these stuffs in our relational and logical operations. So basically, guys, these two values are taken together and created this particular language, this particular type called, right, Boolean type, right? So this true and false. Let's try the type of this particular, say true, you know, true, right? It's bool. Bool in type, right? Let's say false, it's bool. Can you see, guys? So these are the only two values which are available in the bool. So now we discuss about 3 different types. Final thing is, guys, strings. Strings කියන්නේ මොනවද? Strings කියන්නේ, guys, මෙන්න මේ වගේ මේ තියෙන්නේ text, අකුරු, වචන, right? අපි කියනවා text කියලා. So this text data actually, they actually represented in the Python language in the type called string type, right? So අපි උදාහරණ කීපයක් ලියලා බලමු. Let's say, so this is the thing, guys, right? Then cat or ලිව්වා. run කරා මොකද වෙන්නේ? It gives an error. අන්න error එකක් දෙනවා. Right? This is the thing, guys. In the Python, if you want to represent a particular string value or a text value, you must use, guys, either double quotations or single quotations. Single quotations or double quotations දෙකෙන් එකක් use කරන්න වෙනවා. Then only guys it can be represented. Now this kind of a thing is called as what? A string. A string yeah. ඕන්න මම මේක check කරලා බලන්න type එක මොකක්ද කියලා. Then you will understand. Let me put this to the type function guys. You can see it's a str string. And even guys, even these strings, right? It's not always a word. Right? Let's say I am, let's say, hungry. Right? I'm hungry. This is kind of a sentence. Understood? And let's say print. Right? You can even guys put what? Spaces. You know, if you have put the spaces even guys, these are considered as what? Characteristics, characters. Empty spaces. Even guys, let's say print, right? Even let's say inside the double quotation, let's say you have written some number. You know, I mean, number integer value. But guys, if you have written that thing in the double quotation, guys, it's a string. Make a string. Yeah. Make a penunata. While the penny, them operation. Let's say I want just this one plus this one. Error. Because this is now it's a string. A string. Yeah. Then shall we just check the type here? You can see, right? It's a string. Understood? So if you have written that thing inside a double quotation or single quotation, guys, they are considered as what? They are considered as the strings. So that these are the 4 different primitive types, guys, that we can see. මේ තමයි අපිට Python වල දකින්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රධානම primitive types 4. Integers, floats, booleans and strings. මම හිතනවා ඔයාලට පැහැදිලි කියලා. Understood guys? Right. Okay. Right. Right. These are guys primitive types. දැන් මේ තියෙන තනි values වශයෙන් තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? තනි values වශයෙන් තියාගන්න පුළුවන් දත්ත data. Right? There are 4. But guys in Python guys, there's another type called compound data types. Compound types කියලා වර්ගයක් තියෙනවා. Compound data. What is this compound? Compound means guys a method of actually storing values, right, as a multiple set of values. Values ගොඩක් එකපාර තියාගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහේ type එකකට අපි කියනවා compound type එකක් කියලා. Sometimes we can call this thing as a data structure. Data structure එකක් කියන්න පුළුවන්, right? So basically it's like a way of actually storing the values. Values තියාගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහක් තමයි අපි කියන්නේ, right? Data structure එකක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් compound type එකක් කියලා. Basically guys in Python we have 4 different compound data types. In other words, 4 different data structures available in Python. So those are list, tuples, sets and dictionary, right? මෙන්න මේ 4 අපිට දකින්න පුළුවන් Python language එක ඇතුලේ, right? Data structures විදිහට. Right. In these data structures guys, it can contain multiple primitive data. අපිට primitive data වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් එකට තියාගන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි මෙන්න මේ compound types ඇතුලේ. Right. So let's start with our first compound type. Right? Right? List. Right? Normally guys, for represent the list, we use what? We use these what? Square brackets. මෙන්න මේ square bracket පාවිච්චි කරලා තමයි අපි list කියන ඒවා represent කරන්නේ. Right? So මේක ඇතුලේ තමයි අපි ওই දාන ටික ඔක්කොම දාන්නේ. Right? You can guys put what? Different right values here inside a list. Right? Okay? So let's print this. Sorry. You can see it's a simple list. Right? Okay. All right. The next one. Okay. So we'll discuss more about the list, guys. You know, here I have put some integer values. But even, guys, a list can contain different types together. For an example, let's say 7 point something. And let's say cat. You know, it can contain There's no problem with that, right? Even guys, even a list can contain, guys, another compound type. For an example, let's say a list can contain another list like this, right? So let me just print this. Okay, you can see it works. Understood, guys? All right, so we'll discuss about this list, these stuffs, right, in a short while in detail. පොඩ්ඩක් මේ කවඩයක් කතා කරමු list ගැන. But ඊට කලින් මම අනිත් ඒවාත් පොඩ්ඩක් ඔයාලා introduce කරලා ඉන්න, right? So this is about the list, guys. So basically, it's a way of actually storing the data and different types of data together, basically, right, inside the square brackets. And guys, we have another thing called tuples. Tuples. Tuples, guys, the same thing like the list. List වගේම තමයි. හැබැයි එකම දේ, in the tuples, guys, we actually store the values inside what? Inside the curve brackets, like this. මෙන්න මේ වගේ curve bracket වල තමයි අපි tuples represent කරන්නේ, right? Let's print this thing, right? You can see it gives you like this. And even here also, guys, if you need, you guys can, right, store different types of data. මෙතනත් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් මොකක්ද? ඕනම different type එකක්. Even a list you can put, right? Another tuple you can put, right? You can see it's like this way. It can contain different types of data. Okay, we'll discuss about the list tuples as well in a short while. Now the next thing, guys, set. And this is another very beautiful data structure, guys. Actually, guys, you have learned this one in your school time. මේක ඔයාලා ඉස්කෝලේ ඉගෙන ගන්න තියෙනවා මොනවද මේ? කුලක. You guys have learned these stuffs actually, right? You have learned these stuffs in your school. අපි කියනවා කුලක කියලා mathematics වලදී, right? මොකද්ද guys කුලකයේ තියෙන විශේෂම ගුණාංගය? What is the most important characteristic of a කුලක, of a set? අපි සිංහලෙන් කියනවා කුලක, ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් set කියලා කියනවා. මොකද්ද guys ප්‍රධානම ගුණාංගය? කුලකයක මොකද්ද? Duplicates තියෙන්න බෑ. That's the thing, guys. That is the most beautiful thing in this set, guys, right? For representing the set, guys, we use what? These curly brackets. අපි curly brackets පාවිච්චි කරනවා represent කරන්න, right? The thing is, guys, මේ කලන්දරේ තමයි ළමයි ඔයාලට පේනවා, right? All the duplicates are gone and just the what? Just the right unique element is given. කෙලෙම unique item විතර අපිට දෙන්නේ. තේරුණාද? That's the only thing, right? So let's run another example. Let's say, right? You can see that if I have put some values, you know, it always gives you what? Just the unique item set. That's a very important thing, right? So these stuffs you have learned, guys, in your school, the kulaka, right? Okay, right. That is about the third one. Final one is a very, very, very important data structure, guys. It's actually different from the previous stuffs. In the previous cases, guys, we have just put the values only. අපි දැන් මේ values විතරයිනේ. But now here, guys, we have a way of actually giving a label to these particular values. අපිට values වලට නමක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් ක්‍රමයක් තියෙනවා මේකේ. මොකක්ද ඒ කියන්නේ? Let's say, let me just create a simple, so for the dictionary also, guys, we use the curly brackets, right? Like this, let's say. But now, guys, you guys can give a name. That name actually can be given as a number or a word. For an example, let's say if you have given a number, let's say 1,000 කියන්නේ මෙයාට දෙන නම. Or අපි කියනවා label එක කියලා. Label එක, right? How to do this? You have to use guys here this colon. මෙන්න මේ colon symbol එක පාවිච්චි කරමු. Right? 2,000. This is the label. I give this value. මේක තමයි value එක. මෙතන label එක. Now you may think, what is the use case of this particular label, right? Okay, I'll come to that point short while. මම තව ටිකකින් එන්නම්. ඇයි මේ label දෙන්නේ කියලා ඔයාලට explain කරන්න, right? This is a dictionary. And let's think about this one. Now let's say I just put some more values. Let's say 2, 3, 5 like that. These are values. Now I just give some name. Let's say A is 2. And let's say B is 3. And let's say C is, let's say 5, like that. Okay, and further, let's say let's say name. So I just create something called name, a label, and I just put some values here. Let's say Sam, I just put some kind of a list here. Let's say Jane, right? And let's say Kane, likewise. And let's say just put here age, right? That means my second label. I can just put some value. Let's say that age, let's say it's numerical value. Let's say 23, 22, 22, 21, 22, likewise. You can see it's a dictionary. These are called as guys dictionary. This is the value and this is the label. What is the use of this? Okay, I'll come to that for a short time. Right. Before we come to that one, guys, I just want to introduce you another very, very, very important concept. Right. concept explain What is that? Right. Variables. Right. And again, guys, this one actually is also a very important, very useful, right, concept, not only in Python, guys, but also in any programming language, right? Owner programming language එක මේ concept එක තියෙනවා. මොකද මේ කරන්නේ? What is this particular variable means? So basically, guys, the variable means, right? Variable means, guys, we have been using the data so far. අපි දැන් මේ දත්ත පාවිච්චි කරානේ මොනවද? Integers, floats, let's say list, tuples. Those are data. Understood, right? So whenever actually you, for an example, let's say just value 10, අපි 10 කියන value එක ගන්නකො. මම ඔයාලට පෙන්නන උදාහරණයක් විදියට. Now just think about this particular value. Let's say 10. Let's say 10. Now let's say if you want to add 10 to 20, if I let's say put this one, the answer is what? 30. Very nice, right? But let's say now again, let's say print 10, let's say plus 30. Now you can say that I have used the same value, right? To add 20 here, to add 30 here. Same value, but, right? Understood? So, I have used the same value, guys, in both cases. Then whenever I want to use that value, I have to always write that. But rather than writing that, guys, rather than writing that, we have a way to store this particular value in the computer memory for what? For the future usage. අපිට guys මේක කියන්නේ එකපාරක් use කරලා ආය පාරක් ගන්නව වෙනුවට ඕනම් පුළුවන් මේ value එක save කරලා තියාගන්න. We can save this thing in the computer memory. පරිගණකයේ මතකය ඇතුළේ මේක තියාගන්න. Right? So if you can just save this thing, what is the use of this? මේකේ වාසිය තමයි ළමයි, whenever we want to use it, we can use that. We can call it and use that. That is what is called as, guys, the variable. ඒක නිකන් මෙන්න මේ වගේ. ඔයාලා ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ යාළුවන්ගේ phone number save කරානේ phone එකේ නමක් ගහලා contact list එකේ. අන්න ඒ වගේ තමයි. මේ යාළුවෙක්ගේ phone number එකක් තමයි එතන ඔයාලේ phone number save කරගන්න. එතකොට ඔයා contact list එකට ගිහලා නමක් දාලා save කරනවානේ. දැන් හිතනවා දැන් ඔයා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් call කරද්දී phone number එක type කරන්න එපා. ඔයාගේ keypad එකේ. හැබැයි ඔයා save කරලා දේවා මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඔයාට පුළුවන් ඕන වෙලාවක අර contact list එකට ගිහිල්ලා නම search කරලා නම call කරාම automatically එයා call එක යනවා. Understood? That is what is the usage of the variable, right? So the variables actually can be used for any data that we create in Python. Right? I'll explain with an example. Let's say a equals 10. Normally we just create with this way. So whenever you create a variable, guys, the value you have to store in a particular memory location in the computer. පරිගණකයේ කිසියම් memory location එක save කරන්න. හැබැයි save කරාම මොකද මම කියව අරමුණ මොකද්ද? අරමුණ තමයි ළමයි අපිට මේක පාවිච්චි කරන්න අවශ්‍ය වුණාම අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න එපා. Right? We should be able to use it. To use it, guys, we have to first of all find it. ඒක හොයාගන්න එපා. හොයාගන්න නම් අපි අර නමක් දෙන්න. That is what I have done here. දැනුණාද? මම මෙතන එයාට නමක් දීලා තියෙනවා. නම දෙන එකේ වාසිය තමයි ළමයි මට පස්සේ මෙයාව access කරන්න පුළුවන්. I can simply access this. That is the use of this. Let's say a equals 10, let's say b equals 20, and let's say c equals 30 likewise, right? So if I have given like this, guys, whenever let's say I want to use, let's say I just want to use this a, you can see it gives you 10. මට මෙයාව call කරන හැම වෙලාවෙම බලන්න මට මේ output එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. Let's say I want to add this a and b. You know that a is this, a is 10, b is 20. So if you let's say add A and B, what happens? 10 and 20 will be added. The answer is what? 30. Now let's say print. Let's say A plus C. What is that? 40, because the A is 10, C is 40. And let's say A, let's say times 5 times 6. What is the A? A is 10. 10 times 6 is what? 60. Let's say print. Let's say C minus A, right? It's 20. Can you see it, guys? So if you have saved this in somewhere, right? Whenever you want to use it, you can use it. Understood, guys? අපිට පුළුවන් පාවිච්චි කරන්න මේ වැලියු එක ඕනම වෙලාවක එයාගේ නම right call කරලා නමෙන් call කරලා අපිට ඒ වැලියු එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. මම හිතනවා ඔයාලට පැහැදිලි කියලා. right? දැන් මම මේ variable එක හැදුවේ. I have prepared this variable with this primitive types නේ. It can be a float type. It can be a string or whatever thing. Even guys, these particular variables actually we can create with these compound types as well. අපිට මේ compound types වලටත් මෙන්න මේ variables use කරන්න පුළුවන්. මම උදාහරණයක් වෙනවා. දැන් හිතන්න මම list එකක් create කරනවා. Let's say A. I can just create like this way. Understood? Like this. So what is the A, guys? Print A. Sorry. Print A. You know, it's this. Very simple. Got my point, right? Okay. Now let's say we create kind of a another, let's say a tuple, right? Let's say B, right? I just create a tuple here. Let's say, right? So whenever let's say I want to, right? Let's say print tuple as well. You know, we can get like this. All right. Now I'm going to explain to you guys what is the importance of these particular compound types. දැන් මම variables වලට සයින් කරලා පස්සේ මම දැන් ඔයාලට explain කරන්න යනවා මේකේ තියෙන වෙනස මොකක්ද කියලා. මේකේ පාවිච්චි කරන මේකේ තියෙන value එක මොකක්ද කියලා. Right, let's get this A. අපි මේ A ව ගමු. Right, you know A is a list. The thing is this, guys. You know, if you have saved these values, right? මේ values එක save කරලා පස්සේ, guys, if you want to say save these values, whenever you want to use it, let's say whenever you want to access the particular value, guys, you can access with the index of the value. මොකද්ද ළමයි A කියන්නේ? මෙන්න මේ list වෙන්න පුළුවන්, tuples වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? set කියන එකට index එකක් නැහැ. set කියන්නේ ළමයි value collection එකක් තියන් ඉන්න විදියක්. set is a kind of a way of collecting the values, but list and tuples are, we actually use a very nice term for represent, actually calling these list and tuples. We use a name called array. අපි මේ array කියලා පොඩි වචනයකට පාවිච්චි කරනවා. right? මේ array එකක් කියන එකේ මොකද්ද විශේෂත්වය? array එකක ළමයි හැම value එකකටම එයාට ඉන්න පුළුවන් position එකක් තියෙනවා. අපි කියනවා index එක කියලා. අපි කියනවා index එක කියලා. right? For an array, guys, we have always an index, guys. We have an index. Understood? For an example, let's say if I talk about this particular A, may A ව ගත්තොත්, guys, A ගේ index එක, right? Now, මෙයා කොතනද ඉන්නේ? මෙයා ඉන්නේ මෙතන place එකේ. Another most important thing, guys, in Python, guys, the indexing is always starting with 0. Python වල ගමයි හැම වෙලේම index එක පටන් ගන්නෙ බිඳුවෙන්. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ value එක තියන්නේ කොතනද? 0 කියන index එකේ. මෙයා ඉන්නේ 1 කියන index එකේ. This one is in the second index, third index, fourth index, likewise. Always, guys, always in Python, the index number is actually, right, 1 less than the actual position. හැම වෙලේම එයා ඇත්තටම ඉන්න position එකට වඩා එකක් අඩුයි ළමයි යාගේ index එක. This is the first position, index is 0. Second position, index is 1, likewise. Now, what is the use of that? ඒකේ වාසිය තමයි, guys, අපිට පුළුවන්, right? අපිට පුළුවන් එයාගේ index එක දාලා එයාට access කරන්න. Let's say if I put here A0, right? This is how we can access, guys, A0, right? If you run this, you can see it gives you the value. Let's say I just put here A3, 40. Why? Because 0, 1, 2, 3. This is the third index. Same thing, guys, we can see in the B as well. Let's say B1. Now it's a tuple. Make a tuple like B1 means, guys, what? This one. 0, 1. This value. D1 is 1 itself. Understood? So then what is the difference between this list and tuples, guys? Tuples වල list වල වෙනස මොකක්ද? මේක තමයි වෙනස. Right? Okay, මම ආයෙත් පාරක් මේක print කරන්න. Right? Let's say print. Let's say A. Let's say print B. You can see this is my list. This is my tuple. Right? Thing is, guys, in the list, we can access the values with its actually index. Not only the accessing, guys, but also we can change. අපිට වෙනස් කරන්නත් පුළුවන් access කරලා. For an example, let's say if you want to, let's say, access this 0, it is 10. Now let's say I just put here 20. Or let's say 100, something like that. I can change it. Let's run this thing again. Let's say print A. I just change it and just run it. You can see, guys, now what happens? This value was now changed. Yeah, වෙනස් වෙලා. හැබැයි, guys, let's say if you try the same thing, let's say with the tuples, you can't do. You can't do. Why? In the tuples, guys, you can't change, but you can access. That's fine, but you can't change. That is the difference between tuples and list. Got my point? That is the difference between, guys, tuples and list. I hope you understood. Right? Okay, so the thing is, guys, in this list and in these tuples, guys, we have different options. විවිධ operations තියෙනවා. මම නිකන් ඔයාලට එකක් කරලා පෙන්නන්නම්. දැන් A කියන්නේ මෙයානේ, right? We have a function called, guys, append function. You can actually, let's say, put some new value to this particular function, this particular list. Let's say A dot append, and let's say if I print this A, you can see now 200 was added. මම එකක් පෙන්නුවේ, right? And we have, let's say, another function. Let's say අපි කියන sort function, right? Sort function, right? You can see now everything has been sorted. Ascending order. Like that, guys, there are lots of functions available in this list. හැබැයි ඒවා කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ මෙතන. Right? With the limited time, guys, I don't discuss about those functions. But I just showed you. මම දැන් ඔයාලට පෙන්නුවා. මෙහෙම functions තියෙනවා කියලා. I just showed, guys, some functions like this. There are some functions called, let's say, insert function, right? Pop function, right? Extend function, right? There are lots of functions, guys. Even for the tuples also, we have some functions. So, guys, please, when you practice these stuff at your home, ගෙදරදී practice කරද්දී, please, guys, try these functions. මේ functions, right? හොඳට study කරන්න ඕනේ. And I will, guys, share, right? I will share a separate, right? Separate material, right? Separate material to actually, right? Use for learning these functions. මම ඔයාලට මේ functions පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒකේ value එක මොකක්ද? ගැන කියලා වෙනම ඔයාලම material එකක් share කරනවා. I'll share a separate note. In that note, guys, මෙතන මම කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ වෙලාව මදි නිසා, but I will share a separate material. In that material, guys, I will add, right, different functions that you guys can use, right? You guys can just perform with these list and tuples. හරිද? Right? You have to do them and practice. Right? Now let's come to the dictionary. අපි යමු dictionary වලට. Right? Now let me just get this particular dictionary. මම මේ dictionary ගන්න, right? Okay. Right. This is my dictionary. Now you know, guys, that like the list and tuples, we can save these dictionaries as well, guys. Right? We can save the dictionaries as well in the variables. Right? You can see that I have saved this particular, right, dictionary in a particular variable called D. Understood? Now, guys, let's say if I have done in the list and tuples, if I, let's say, put the index, you can't see, guys. You can't see the output. Why? It's given an error, guys. This is the thing, guys. In the dictionary, we don't have a thing called indexing. Dictionary වල අපි index එකක් නැහැ. එහෙම බිඳුව එක එහෙම index නැහැ, guys. But in the dictionary, guys, we have already given kind of a label නේ. මෙතන label එකක් දීලා තියෙනවානේ. With the label, guys, we can access the value. That is the value of this dictionary. ඔයාලට දැන් තේරෙනවා ඇයි මේ value එකක් දෙන්නේ කියලා. අපිට පුළුවන් මේ label එක හරහා, right, a value we can access karan, right? For example, let's say if I want to access, let's say age, right? I can do like this. Right? Magar mulim mein our dictionary ga. I prepared another dictionary in the beginning, guys. Maybe let's get this dictionary, guys. So here I have given some numbers, right? Let's say I just save this thing as H, right? You know, if I want to, let's say, access this particular 10, right? I have put what? Its key or the label. If you have put the label, you can see the value is given like this. Right? So again, guys, for this particular dictionary also, we have different functions, right? So we can't discuss those functions. We can't discuss those functions actually within this particular session. But I'll just share a separate material. I'll just share a separate material, guys, to actually uh, go through and get familiar with the functions. Then you will understand, but you have to do them and practice and understand. All right, guys. Now we discussed about data types available in Python. Can you please type yes if you understood so far? මේ දක්වා මම කියපු දේවල් වලට තේරුණා. Okay. Now you can understand, guys, how beautiful this language. It's a very, you can understand, it's like a very user-friendly language, right? Compared to Java. So if you are, let's say, familiar with some languages like, let's say, Java, C, likewise, this is a very user-friendly language. But I'm lazy. ඉතින් අපිට ඉගෙන ගන්න මේක හරිය ලේසි language එකක්. right? ඉතින් අතන මේ session එකේ අරමුණත් ඒකයි. අපිට මෙතනදී මේ ඔක්කොම කියලා දෙන්න වෙලාව මදි. හැබැයි I want to give you a motivation, guys. මට ඕනේ ඔයාලට motivation එකක් දෙන්න. එතකොට ඔයාලා මේක starting point එකක් කරගෙන ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ඉස්සරහට ඔයාලා මේක තවදුරටත් develop කරගෙන, right? ඉගෙන ගන්න පුළුවන්. There are lots of sources, guys. There are lots of materials. There are lots of, right, online, right? Online free sources are there to learn these languages. Even in YouTube, there are lots of platforms, right? So then you can just learn, but you should be having a motivation. That is what actually they are giving here. Understood, guys? Okay, right. Now, I hope you understood, right, up to this point, what we discussed. All right. Right. Now, guys, we'll move to the next, a simple topic, guys, called comments. And this is another very important, right, another very important concept in the programming, not only again in the Python, guys, but also in other languages as well. So basically, comments means, guys, it's a kind of a way of actually describing the code inside the code itself. අපි develop කරන code එකක් ගත්තාම ළමයි ඔය code එකේ අපිට සමහර දැන් මෙහෙම ඉදන්නකෝ දැන් ඉදන්න ඔයාද මොන හරි program එකක් ලියනවා, right? ඔයාද අද මොන හරි program එකක් ලියනවා. ලිව්වට පස්සේ ඒ ලියපු program එක ඔයාට තමාට තව 7කින් විතර බලද්දී මතක නැහැනේ. Let's say you have written some program today, but let's say after 1 week you check the same program. Definitely, guys, some of the parts of the program may be forgotten. සමහරකට සමත කරලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Understood? So then, because of that reason, guys, normally we can just put some kind of a comment and describe what you have done. එතන මොකක්ද ඔයා කරේ කියලා අපිට comment එකක් දාලා තියන්න පුළුවන්. Then what happens, guys? If you have, let's say, if you have given the comment, right? Then, guys, it's very easy for you to understand, guys, what you have done. ඔයා මොකක්ද කරේ කියන දේ ඔයාලට, right, මතක් කරගන්න ලේසි. තේරුම් ගන්න ලේසි. Right? That is the use case of the comments, guys. Right? So let's see how can we give the comments. Let's say I create a variable called, let's say a, let's say a equals 10, and let's say b equals 20, and let's say I just print, say a and b, a plus b. I just printed, right? If you run this, you can just see it's 30. Very simple. Now let's say I want to just describe this. දැන් හිතන්න මම මේක describe කරන්න ඕනේ, right? කොහොමද describe කරන්නේ? Let's say just describe. This is the variable a, right? This is the variable a, right? Right? Let's say this is the variable b, right? And let's say This is, let's say, this is how we add. Likewise. Understood, guys? Then make a run error. Why it has given an error? Because, guys, these are not the Python syntaxes. That is why, guys, we have to specifically mention this is not a syntax. This is just a comment. Make a comment. For that, guys, we use what? This hash symbol. Hash symbol. With this hash symbol, guys, it gives what? The program. No, this is not a syntax. This is kind of a what? Description. Now let's run this thing. You guys can see, guys, it doesn't give any error. දැන් යා තේරුම් ගන්න මේ තියෙන මොකද්ද? යා තේරුම් ගන්න මේ තියෙන මොකද්ද? මේ තියෙන්නේ comment එකක්. මේක run වෙන්න හොඳ නැහැ. This should not be run. Python will understand it. Understood, guys? And then it gives you only the things. And this is what is called as, guys, comments. Another very important thing that you should actually know, right, when you are dealing with the programming languages. මං හිතනවා ඔයාලා පැහැදිලි කියලා. Right? Okay. So now, guys, that we have discussed almost all the very simple fundamental stuff that we should know, right, when you deal with these languages. All right. Now, අපි දැන් යනවා වෙනමම කොටසකට. Right? So far, guys, that we have discussed about the very basic concepts. Right? Now, guys, I'm going to discuss about something called flow control structures. Flow control structures. What are flow control structures? Flow control structures means basically, guys, it's like a way of, right, creating the flow of the program. Again, අපි දැන් program එක ලියන විදි තියෙනවානේ. ගලාගෙන යන විදිය, right? මේක අපි කොහොමද ගලාගෙන යන්නේ? මේක ලියන්නේ කොහොමද? මොන වගේ steps තියන්න ඕනේ? Steps කොහොමද තියෙන්න ඕනේ? ඔයා ලියන program එකේ steps තියෙන ඕන විදිහ, right? That is for the flow, right? The thing is, guys, not only the Python, but in the computer programming, right? Programming කියන concepts, right? යටතේ අපි කතා කරනවා, guys, මේ program එකක මේ steps ලියන්න පුළුවන් ක්‍රම කීපයක් ගැන. We call them as flow control structures. Basically, guys, there are 3 types of flow control structures. ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් කොටස් 3ක් අපිට දකින්න පුළුවන්. මම ගොඩාක් ගැඹුරට කතා කරන්නේ. I don't discuss into the very deep, but I just very briefly, right, introduce this stuff. So the first one is, guys, right, sequence flow, right? Sequence flow. Second type is, guys, right, right, conditions, right? Conditions. So sometimes we can just write this thing as selections. Selections of conditions. Third one is, guys, repetitions. Or sometimes we can just call them as loops. Right? Loops. So this one we have already discussed. මේක අපි දැන් already දැක්කා. මොකද්ද මේ sequence කියලා කියන්නේ? මේදී, guys, අපි program ලියන flow එක. කියන්නේ ලියන steps ලියන විදිහ මේ තියෙන්නේ. විවිධ ක්‍රම, right? All right. අපි බලමු මොකද්ද මේ කියන්නේ. Right. First one is sequence. අපි දැන් මෙච්චර කතා කරේත් මේක තමයි. What is sequence? Let's say x equals 10, y equals 20. Let's say print, let's say x plus y. What happens here? You know, first of all, this is the step, and then this is the step, and then do this. Understood? Do this. මෙයා කරන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඊට පස්සේ මෙයාව කරන්න, ඊට පස්සේ මෙයාව කරන්න. One by one, line by line. තමයි අපි instructions දීලා තියෙන්නේ. Can you understand? We have given the instructions, right? We have given the instructions, guys, line by line. This one is called as, guys, what? Sequential. Make it up, sequential flow. Understood? Sequential flow, right? This one we have already learned, right? Now the next one is what? Selection, or let's say condition. Mokadla selection ho condition kiya. Right? Selection or condition. මම ඔයාලට පොඩි වීඩියෝ එකක් පෙන්නන්න. එතකොට ඔයාලට තේරෙයි. Right? So basically, guys, these selections or conditions, right? So we actually use අපි මේවා පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ, guys, ඇත්තටම we actually use these selections or conditions, guys, basically to perform some decision making. අපි යම් කිසි දෙයක් සම්බන්ධව decision එකක් අපි ගන්නවා නම් දැන් හිතන්න අපිට නිකන් decision එකක් මොනවද දැක්ක ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. දැන් ඔයාලා ජීවිතේ එක තීරණ ගන්නවානේ. අන්න ඒ වගේ තීරණයක් ගන්න අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා නම් right ඒ වගේ දැනකදී let's say you want to just take a decision in a computer program. In that case, guys, you had used this selection, right? This particular flow control structure. Understood, guys? Right? So මට මිනිත්තුවක් දෙන්න. Right, okay. මම ඔයාලට පොඩි වීඩියෝ එකක් පෙන්නන්නම්, then you will understand what I'm talking about. Right? Okay, right. Now just look at this particular video. Watch this video. It's a very small video.
Hello there. In this lesson, we're going to learn all about if-else statements, also known in the programming world as conditionals. Now, these statements check to see if certain situations are present, and then perform some code if it is. For instance, suppose you have soccer practice today, but if it's raining, practice will be canceled. So you could make a statement saying, if it's sunny today, I will have soccer practice. Else, if it's raining today, practice will be canceled and I will stay home. So we're checking to see the condition of the weather. And based on that answer, we will do one of two things. Either go to practice or stay home. Now let's see what that would look like written in code. For that, let's head over to the good people of bitsbox.com.
Right, guys. මං හිතනවා ඔයාලා අදහසක් එන්නේ නැති කියලා. දැන් බාරගේ පොඩි ළමයි දෙන්නෙක් හිටියා. එදෙන decision එකක් ගන්න යන්නේ. Right? අද සෙල්ලම් කරනවද නැද්ද? ඒක තීරණය ගන්න මොකෙන්ද? වහින එකෙන්. වැස්සොත් සෙල්ලම් කරන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙනම් ගෙදර එක ටීවී බලනවා. Right? වැස්සේ නැත්තම් මොකද කරන්නේ? සෙල්ලම් කරනවා. Like that, guys. It's like a way of actually making the decisions. Understood? In the programming, guys, we can check it. අපිට පුළුවන් programming වලදී ඕක right අපිට පුළුවන් ඕක check කරලා බලන්න, right? That is what, guys, that is what actually we are going to discuss now. හරි, okay. විනාඩයක් ඉන්න. Okay, let's come to our Jupyter environment. Right. This is the thing, guys. In Python, guys, we can simply perform the operations very easily. There's a very nice keyword, right? There's a very nice keyword called if killer keyword, if keyword, right? This particular keyword actually is there to actually give the program to just check some condition. යම් කිසි දෙයක් check කරලා බලන්න, condition එක check කරලා බලන්න. Now making me if can state keyword then current. Right. Let me just run like this. Let's say I have, let's say x equals 10. Right? X equals 10. Right? And let's say I just put here, let's say if, let's say this particular x, let's say if it is less than 20. මෙයා 20ට වඩා අඩුද? අපි ලියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ විදිහට. අපි යන්නේ if ලිව්වා we just put a space and then 20, less than 20. Right? This value. Then you put what here? You put here, guys, a colon. On a colon එකක් දාන්න. And then, guys, very important, whatever the thing, so that we are expecting, guys, to perform something, if this condition happens only, make condition එක වෙනවනම් විතරයි අපි යම් කිසි දෙයක් කරන්න යන්නේ. ඒ කරන්න යන දේ, right, the thing that you're going to do, you have to write inside this නේ. Then, guys, always keep in your mind, when you write that thing, right, when you press the enter, always, guys, you should be having a tab space. Tab space එකක් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම තියෙන්න ඕනේ. Right? You know, if you are familiar with other programming languages, then වෙනත් languages ගත්තාම ඒ වගේ තියෙන විදිහ වෙනස්. And Java එක ගත්තාම ඒ තියෙන මෙහෙම තියෙන. Let's say that x greater than 20. Normally we use these, right, curly brackets. Okay තමයි ලියන්නේ. Right? But in Python, guys, we don't have curly brackets. We have to always use what? Tab space. Very important. අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම tab space එකක් පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ. ඔය tab space එක ඇතුලේ තමයි ළමයි අපි මේක ලියන්නේ. Understood? That is very important. Right, let me just write. Let's say print, let's say hi. Right? If you run this thing now, or just run this, you can see it gives you the particular value. Why this is given, guys? Because this value is less than 20. That is fine. But let's say, guys, if this value is, let's say, greater than 20, now let's say it is 100, it is definitely greater than this. Then what happens? It is not giving the answer. තේරුණාද? එයා ආන්සර් එක දෙන්නේ ළමයි මේක satisfy වෙනවා නම් පමණයි. තේරුණාද? මෙයා satisfy වෙනවා නම් පමණයි මේ ආන්සර් එක අපිට මෙයා දෙන්නේ. තව උදාහරණයක් ගමු. Let's say we have a thing called mark. ඔන්න mark එකක් තියෙනවා. හරි exam එක හරි subject එක mark එක paper එක. Let's say it is 80. Now let's say I want to check whether it's pass or fail. And think that I want to check that thing, let's say based on 50. දැන් එතන මට 50 කියන එකත් check කරලා බලන්න මෙයා pass වෙ නැද්ද කියලා. Right? I can write, let's say if, let's say mark, let's say greater than or equal 50. Right? If that's so, I print, let's say pass. Right? So if I run this, you can see it gives you pass because this value is satisfied. But let's say if you have something which is less than 50, then it is giving you nothing. Right? Understood? Now here actually we just checked some condition. If the condition was satisfied, did something. That is it. But let's say, guys, then now let's say I want to write the fail as well here. That means if this, let's say, condition is not satisfied, then make condition satisfied when naha kiyala. If that's so, what should be done? That can be written, right? What? Inside the else statement. Very important, guys. Else, right? So else means, guys, if this is not happening, make a vendi netta. Make. Now it gives. Second. If vitarak liwat, apidem balan hamenne. But here it gives you what? Right? The particular opposite thing. You can make a un netta mokadda vennu. Eka tama metana den. Understood, guys? Right? So this is about, guys, if else. So this particular technique actually is being used for making some decisions. අපි සාමාන්‍ය යම් කිසි decision එකක් මේක කරන්න ඕන නම් අපිට යම් කිසි දෙයක් හිතන්නකෝ මොකක් හරි මේක වෙනවා නම් මේක කරන්න නැත්නම් මේක කරන්න. අන්න ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවක if you have that kind of use case, guys, then you have to use what? This if else. I hope clear, right? So here, guys, we actually make a simple, right, a single decision. Single condition. මෙතන අපිට එක condition එකක් විතරනේ තිබුණේ. Here we had a single condition. But let's say, guys, let's say you want to perform multiple conditions. For an example, let's say you want to, let's say, give the grade. Then either සාමාන්‍ය දැන් exams ඔයාලගේ O level, A level වල ඔයාලා හම්බෙන්නේ A B, right? A B C එහෙම හම්බ වෙනවනේ. Right? You are getting some grades නේ. කොහොමද grades එන්නේ? ඔයාගේ ලකුණු හිතන්නකෝ 75 වැඩි නම් ඔයාට A එකක් දෙනවා. right? 75 65 අතර නම් B එකක් දෙනවා. 65 50 අතර නම් C එකක්. 50 වල අඩු නම් එහෙමනේ සාමාන්‍ය ලකුණු යන්නේ, right? කොහොමද සාමාන්‍ය යන්නේ, right? That means there we have multiple conditions. Actually, if else, guys, in the if else, we can actually, guys, right, perform multiple, right, conditions as well. After conditions keep right? We have actually multiple conditions, right? Also, we can perform in the if else. How? For an example, let's say the same value, let's say mark. Mark, let's say 79, 70, let's say 70, 78, something like that. I write here, let's say, if, right, if, let's say this mark, let's say it's greater than or equal, let's say 70, 75, let's say. Let's say, ask print A print karan. Understood? A print karan. Now, previously we have given if or else, that's it. But now what I'm going to do? I want to check another condition. Mandan thava condition check kalla balna. Komada? Elif, very important, guys. If you want to check another condition, guys, you have to use this particular keyword, elif keyword. Then after the elif, actually this elif means else if. That is the meaning of this elif, guys. Elif, let's say mark greater than or equal 65. Again, 75ට වැඩි නැත්නම් අපි check කරනවා මොකද්ද? 65ට වැඩිද කියලා. We check whether it's greater than 65. Let's say if this is not greater than 75, then it checks whether it's greater than 65. If that's so, print what? Print B. අපි කියනවා B print කරන්න කියලා. Understood? Right? Right? Then you can check another condition. Let's say elif. Let's say mark greater than or equal, let's say 50. Print, let's say C. Then let's say you can just write different conditions, guys. After that, right? Let's say let's say at the end of the program you can write if nothing of the above is satisfied, then go to the else statement. What is that? Print, let's say fail, something like this, or say F, likewise. Understood? Right, let's run this thing and see. You know it's A. Why? Because this value is greater than 75. Now let's say if I put here, it says 62. It's what? 62. What is that? It is C. Why? Because it is not actually greater than 75, not greater than 65, but it is greater than 50. That is why it gives you C. Now let's say 27. It is F. Understood, guys? I hope clear. Now it is B because 69 is between 75 to 65. I hope clear. Guys, can you please type yes if you understood so far? Right? These if-else statements. Please type yes in chat box if you understood. Right, guys. I hope you understood what I just explained. Right. That is about, guys, if else. That means, right, selection flow control structure. Now we'll go to the last flow control structure, guys. So again, I'm just mentioning, guys, that here I just give you a very brief introduction only. මෙතන මම ඔයාලට ළමයි පොඩි මේ අර හඳුන්වා දෙනවා තමයි කරන්නේ. මේවා තියෙනවා කියලා. Understood? So then you have to, guys, you have to learn these stuffs more. ඒවා ගොඩක් ගැඹුරින් ඉගෙනගෙන you have to actually, right, practice this and get more idea, and you have to be familiar with this. මේක I think ගැඹුරින් ඉගෙන ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ. You have to basically learn and you have to actually, right, apply these stuff for your products as well, right? So I just actually introduce these stuffs to you. All right. that is about, guys, that if else. I hope you understood that one, right? Now let's go to the last one. Repetition. Repetition means what? Repetition means, guys, basically, if you want to perform some kind of operation, let's say as a loop, operation let's say, let's think that you want to perform some kind of operation, let's say repeatedly. If you want to repeat something again, then, guys, you have to use what? These repetitions. Repetitions guys, right? All right. In Python, guys, you know, these loops or these repetitions, these are also, guys, actually common in most of the programming languages in the world. Right? Programming languages loop concept Python. But in Python, guys, it's a bit different compared to other languages, right? But in Python, guys, the loop concept is a bit different, right? In the Python, guys, we have two types of loops mainly. Python loop first loop is, guys, for loop, right? For loop. Second type of loop is, guys, while loop. In Python, guys, to actually perform the for loop, we have to deal with an array. Python loop for loop implement array. We should actually have an array. We have to have an array, guys, right? So I'll show you what happens. For an example, let's say if you have a kind of a list, right? Right? Now this is a list, this is a list, right? So in the for loop, guys, what happens is in each iteration, right? Hammer iteration hammer me avastha, right? Yada puluan, guys, make it in the values for it separately access kara. Understood, guys? It has the capability of accessing these values, right? Separately, right? For an example, let's say I write like this, let's say 4. So we use this particular 4 keyword. For keyword let's say for I, right? On I variable access separately values, right? Let's say I in L. Very important, guys. Here we have two keywords, for keyword and the in keyword. මේ අදහස තමයි ළමයි මේ I කියන එකන හැම iteration එකකදීම මේ values වලට separately access කරනවා. In the first iteration they accessing 2, second iteration 1, third iteration 4, likewise. Now I tell, guys, access each and every value to something. Let's say I just write here, I say print, let's say just I monkey no separately access karla I print karan. Let's run this thing. You can see, guys, it prints. Values print. Now I can do something, guys. Not just printing. Let's say I just want to multiply this by 5. Have my iteration. Let's say I just multiply this by 5 and just print. If you run this thing, you can see it gives you what? 5 times the value. Let's say 2 times 5 is what? 10. 1 times 5 is 5. 4 times 5 is 20. 6 times 5 is 30. Likewise. Understood? In each iteration, guys, the value is multiplied by 5 and just printed. Understood, guys? That is what happening in the for loop. Okay, and there are lots of use cases we can see in the for loops, guys. But we don't discuss, right, everything here. Let's think about this particular same program, right? Now let's say now here actually it is printing everything. So if I have, let's say, given like this, it prints everything. Print karna. Then now let's say I want to print. Let's say I want to print only the values which are greater than or equal 5. Mata pahata vada වැඩි values විතර print කරන්න. එහෙමද? හිතන්න මට ඕනේ පහට වඩා වැඩි values පමණක් print කරන්න. එතකොට කොහොමද කරන්නේ? Right? How to do it? Right. හිතලා කියන්න බලන්න. We discussed about the if conditions a short while ago. නේ? මම මෙහෙම ලියනවා. Let's say if I greater than or equal 5. If that's so, print this. Second, මම කියනවා I කියන එක න separate ලියනවා values වලට. හැම iteration එකදීම මම check කරලා බලනවා. I check why whether it's greater than or equal 5. If it is greater than or equal 5, then only just print this. Very simple. If you run this thing, you guys can see, guys, it gives you what? Only the values which are greater than or equal 5. Very simple. Understood, guys? Right? Like that, guys, you guys can do lots of stuff. ඉතින් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් විවිධ දේවල් කරන්න ඔය විදිහට. Right? හරි. මම ඉතින් මෙතනින් නතර කරනවා for loops ගැන, but you have to, right, search and learn more, right? And that is the first type of loop we can see in Python. Next one is, guys, while loop. While loop actually it's a very similar loop type like other languages. Python වල while loop කරන ළමයි අනිත් languages වල while loop වගේම තමයි. ඔයාලා වෙනත් languages වල while loop ඉගෙන ගන්න තියෙනවා නම් then you can understand this one is a very simple, right? So let's think like this. Now let's say x equals 3. ඔන්න x සමාන 3යි. මම හදුවා variable එක. Now let's say I write while, this is the keyword, guys. While let's say x less than or equal, let's say 10. ඔන්න x කියන එක න 10ට වඩා අඩු හෝ සමාන වෙනකම්. What is the අදහස? What is the meaning of this? It tells, guys, while this is satisfied, this is being satisfied. Make condition එක satisfy වෙලා පවතින තාක්කල්. Understood? Make satisfy වෙලා පවතින තාක්කල් යම් කිසි දෙයක් කරන්න. That is the idea. So let's say I want to print. Let's say print this x, right? But guys, let's say I write like this. X should be increased by 1. මං කියනවා දැන් තියෙන x ඉන්නවනේ. එයාව එකකින් වැඩි කරන්න. වැඩි කරලා එයාගෙම සේව් කරන්න. තේරුණා? දැන් x දැන් 3යිනේ. මං කියනවා හැම වෙලේම මෙයාව එකකින් වැඩි කරලා එයාගෙම සේව් කරන්න. දැන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? 4 5 6 7. තේරුණා? දිගටම යනවා. දැන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Now let's say first of all x is 3. Now it's increased by 1. It is 4. Now is it less than 10? Yes. Print it. Now it is 5. Less than 10? Yes. 5. Print it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is it less than? No. But it is equal. Because we have given the equal as well. No? Print it. Now let's say it is 11. What happens? Then, guys, this is not satisfied. Then what happens? Then stop it. That is the idea. Again, make condition එක satisfy වෙලා පවතින තාක්කල් මේක කරන්න. Right? හැබැයි යම් කිසි මොහොතක මේක satisfy වෙන්නේ නැති point එකක් ආවොත් නතර කරන්න. That's the point. If you run this thing, it gives you what? The answer like this. Understood? I hope clear. Right? Another example. Let's say while. Let's say I just put here, let's say y greater than or equal 0. Greater than, let's say greater than 0. Right? So I start with, let's say y equals 10. Right? So I just put the colon here. Let's say just print y. Right? I decrease now. Right? ඔන්න මම දැන් right දැන් මං අඩු කරනවා. එකතු කරන්නේ. I just decrease. I just put here y minus, let's say 2. y ගෙන් මං දෙකක් අඩු කරනවා. Now what happens? Now y is 10. Then it's 8, 6, 4, 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Then what happens? Not satisfied. You run this, you can see it gives you what? The answer like this way. I hope clear. I hope it is clear, right? Okay. I hope now it's clear. Now, guys, right? Now, let me get this particular program. Hurry. Now, let's say, guys, I'll write like this way, right? Let's say I write like this. Let's say x is greater than or equal to කියලා මන් දාන්න. Right? මම එක මෙහෙම දැම්මා. දැන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Now x is 3. Right? You know 3 is definitely greater than 2. So let's say now it was increased by 1. Now it is 4. 4 is again greater than 2. Let's say now it's 5 greater than 2. 6 greater than 2. 7. What will happen this kind of program, guys? හොඳට හිතන්න බලන්න. දැන් බලන්න මෙතන මේක නතර වෙන්න හේතුවක් නැහැ. මං කියන්නේ මෙතන මේක නතර වෙන නිසා මෙතනින් හරි යන්නේ නැත්තේ. What happens here? Then you will see the magic, guys. You can see what it is going. It's going. Understood? We can actually stop with this particular button. When you press this thing, it is getting stopped, right? But you can simply understand, guys, right? This is what is called as, guys, this is what is called as infinite loop. It's going right without having any stopping point. That is a very important thing, guys. Then Python wala onno godak important. Understood? In Python, guys, in Python, right? So if you don't have a stopping point, the while loop will actually, right? It will be going. I hope clear. Right? That is about, guys, the loops. So you guys can now actually search and learn more about these stuffs, right? Again, guys, can you please type yes if you understood so far? Did you understand? All right, brilliant. So I hope you got my idea, right? And that is about, guys, loops, right? So now, guys, that we have discussed about basically the fundamental concepts of the Python, and we discussed about data types, and we discussed about basically different operations, and we discussed about the data structures, and we discussed about basically the concept called variables, and then we discussed about the comments, and then we discussed about basically the conditions, and then finally we discussed about the loops, right? So I just very briefly, I just introduced these stuffs, right? So now, guys, I'm going to discuss with you another very important concept, guys, right? A very important concept, right? Which is called as methods, right? Methods scale, right? Or sometimes we can just call them as functions. What is this functions means? Functions, right? Functions means, guys, this, right? Sometimes when we develop the programs, right? When we develop the programs, guys, sometimes, right, we may have to use the same coding part, right? We may have to use the same coding part, let's say, again in several places in a computer program. දැන් හිතන්න සමහර අපිට යම්කිසි program එකක එකම coding කොටස නැවත right නැවත තැන් කීපයක පාවිච්චි කරන්න වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? දැන් හිතන්න now just imagine, guys, now just imagine this particular coding part. දැන් හිතන්න ඔයා මේ repeat කරන coding part එක. Now let's just imagine, guys, this particular coding part is, let's say this is 100 lines. Then lines let's say it has 100 lines. So if it has 100 lines, guys, lines right? If it has 100 lines, right? The thing is, guys, you can see, right? Because of that particular coding part, a coding part nisa, right? Because of that particular coding part, guys, what happens, right? What happens? It will, right? Your program will be more complicated. Program goda complex venom. Understood? Program will be more complicated, right? Because of that, guys, that program, that your computational power will be more high, right? Computer power, right? The time will be very high. Execute. Likewise, there are different issues that we can see, right? Because of that reason, guys, right? Rather than just using the same part again in the same different right places in the computer program, guys, we can use these functions. Functions, we can use these functions, guys, to what? To actually make the program more simplified. Program right? To make the program more simplified, you can use these functions. Understood, guys? Rather than actually writing the same program again several places, we can write the particular program in a particular place. Yamkisi tanaka program right? Whenever we want to, let's say, use that particular function, right, you can use it, right? යම් කිසි දැනක අපි අදාළ මොකක් හරි ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක ලියලා අපිට අවශ්‍ය වුණාම ඒක පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. That is what guys the main use case of the function. හරිද? Right. So I'll just show you guys some of the examples. Then you will understand what I am talking about. Maybe then. Now let's say guys. Let's think about this particular simple program. Now let's say I just simply write the happy birthday to you. That particular song, right? You know, this is a very familiar song, right? You know, for your friends and let's say your parents, right, siblings, you normally wish to the right birthday with this particular song. You know about this song, right? All right. Now let's say you have three friends, right? Let's say call Sam, Jane, and Kane. හිතන්න ඕන යාළුවෝ තුන් දෙනෙක් සෑම් ජේන් කේන් කියලා. දැන් හිතන්න මම මෙන්න මේ තුන් දෙනාට මම මේ happy birthday to you කියන song එක කියන්න යන්නේ. Right? Okay? Right. මෙන්න මෙහෙම. Right? ඔන්න කියනවා. Right? Print. Right? Dear Sam. Right? Dear Sam, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Right? And then happy birthday, dear friend. Right? Dear friend, happy birthday to you. Right? On them, මම ඔන්න එක ළමයි එක්කෙනෙක්ට කිව්වා happy birthday. Now ඔන්න දෙවෙනි එක්කෙනා. Dear Chain. Right? Right? ඔන්න අනිත් එක්කෙනා. Right? Dear Kane. You can see now I have actually, right? This is my simple program. මේ වගේ program අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් හදන්නේ නැහැ. මම නිකන් ඔයාලට තේරුම් කරන්න මේ කරන්නේ. Right? So we have actually created this program. So if I run this, you guys think it gives you like this way. Or in a program. You can see. Now this is the program. It's kind of a big program. You can see. ලොකුවට තියෙන line ගොඩක් බෙදලා තියෙනවනේ. Right? Now what I'm going to do is guys, rather than doing like this, මෙහෙම කරනවා වෙනුවට, rather than doing like this guys, we can, so this part is a common thing. මේක මේ එකම කෑල්ලනේ ආයෙ use වෙන්නේ, right? I write like this way. මම නිකන් මෙන්න මෙහෙම වැඩක් කරනවා. Right? So I'm going to create a function guys. In Python, if you want to create a function, you have to use this diff keyword. The idea is define, right? This can define. And then guys, you have to give a particular name for this particular function. And let's say I just put here wish function or you can give any name here, right? Wish. And then sometimes guys the functions can be created by giving some inputs. අපිට සමහර function හදන්න පුළුවන් guys inputs දාලා. සමහරව input නැතුව හදන්නත් පුළුවන්. So I don't actually want the inputs here. I just create without the input. Right? Let's say wish. I put this particular part. Now keep in mind, always like the if else, like the for loop, like the while loop, you have to keep the part. Tab the space here, very important. Tab එක අනිවාර්යෙන් තියෙන්න. Right? Now ඔන්න මම දැන් මේක ඇරලා ලියුවා. Right? Now guys, what I do is, right? You know, this is what I had previously. කලින් අපිට මට තිබෙ මේකනේ. This is part my program. Now what I do guys, the thing is this guys, since I have created the function here, instead of this particular big part, I can just put this particular function name. That's it. We call them as function is calling. On a function is call kara. ඕනනම් ඔයාලට තව යාළුවෝ 4-5 දෙනෙක්ට මේක ගහන්න පුළුවන්. කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. Now this is what I had previously, but now what happens? This is the program. So if I run this thing, you can see guys, you get the same output. Why? Because thing is guys, this particular part, right? You can see this particular part is, right, giving this part. Understood guys? Since it is giving this part, whenever I want to use it, I can just call it. මම කියන function එක call කරලා කියලා. Right? We call them as actually call in the function. I hope clear. මම හිතලා පැහැදිලියි කියලා. Right? It's call in the function. Right? So whenever if I have called this guys, I can just call that particular part as and run it. I hope clear, right? And now guys, I have prepared this particular function without input. මෙතන මම මොකද inputs දැම්මේ නැහැ. Right? I have not put any input here. Right? But even guys, I can just put some inputs. මට මෙතන inputs ඕන නම් දාන්නත් පුළුවන්. Right? කොහොමද ඒ හදන්නේ? Right? Let's think about this particular program. Let's say I create a function, let's say called define. I just put, let's say, I just create a function called add values. Let's say add values. I just gave a name here, right? You can give any name. So what my objective is, let's say, whenever I put some values, let's say A, B, C, if I have to say put some, these are some variables, guys, right? Whenever I put some values like this, let's say, for an example, let's say A, B, C, what I need is, let's say I need this, I want to print, let's say A, B, C, this particular total. මට මේ total එක print කරන්න. Understood? That is what I just expect. All right. Now guys, now if I run this thing, right? You know, whenever you put some values here, get the total, right? Hari, them බලමු. Previously guys, when I wanted to call this one, I just called it. That's it. Man නිකම්ම නිකන් call කරා. But you have to put this open close brackets. අනිවාර්යෙන් දාන්න ඕනේ. But now let's say guys, if I want to call this particular function, I can't call like this. Why? Because guys, now it is expecting. It's expecting some inputs. Right? I put some values. Let's say I just put here 2, 5, 8, 2, 5, 7. Sorry. What happens now? Now let's say what it gives. 2 plus 5 plus 7, 14. Understood? Answer is given. It's very nice. Let's say add values. Let's say 6, 1, 8, something like that. Answer is given. Here, right? Add values. Let's say 2, let's say 2, 3, 7. The answer is given. You can see, guys, that whenever you put some inputs, based on the input, guys, the answer is given like this. I hope you got my point. But here also, guys, we have another very important thing, guys. You know that here, what happened was, guys, this particular value was printed. මෙතන මේ value එක print වීමක් නෙවුනේ නේ 257. If you have put like that 2 plus 5 plus 7 is 14. That's it. Value එක print වුණා. Understood? But let's say, guys, that now let's say I want to use this value. දැන් හිතන්න මට මේ value එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න. මොනවාද වැඩකට? For an example, let's say I want to get this value. Let's say I want to add 100 here to this value. If you run this thing, guys, you can see it gives an error. Why? Because that we have just printed. Habai, guys. Now let's say, so here this just it's printed, no. But now let's say, guys, rather than just printing it, take a print karna venuwata. Now let's say you want to get this value out. Value gun node. Just think that I want to get this particular value out rather than just printing. And in that case, guys, we have a keyword called return keyword. Very nice. Return. So if you have put the return keyword, guys, what happens? Now, guys, let's say if you have put some value, say that 2, 3, 8, something like that, it is giving the value, right? Print let's say I just print this one, print guys. It is giving the value. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 5 is 8 is 13. But the thing is, guys, the value is given now. That means, guys, now let's say if you have added 100, 113 is given. Because now we have the specific value here. Understood? That is the thing. So you must actually create your own, right? Different programs. I'll just write another program. Let's say we have a function to, let's say, release pass or fail based on the mark of a student. දැන් හිතන්න ළමයාගේ mark එක මත ළමයා ගන්න ලකුණ මත එයා pass the fail කියලා මම release කරනවා මොන හරි හිතන්න pass වෙම හරි message එක release කරනවා, right? So let's say result, or let's say get result. Let's say get underscore, let's say result. I just create a function. You can give any function name, that's totally fine. So let's say just put here mark, whatever the mark, guys, right? So what I need is I want to release, guys, whether it's a pass or fail, right? How to do it? You know, we have learned about the if else. Let's say if I just put whatever the mark which puts here, right? Check whether it's greater than or equal 50. 50ට වැඩි නම් print, let's say pass. Right? Else, Arduino, let's say print, what? Fail. Very simple. If you run this thing, guys, if you run this thing, you can see that, let's say if I put the get, let's say let's say get result. Let's say 80. That's it gives you pass. Get, let's say result. Let's say 35. It's fail. Understood? Guys, can you please type yes now if you understood? Type yes in chat box if you understood. All right, brilliant. Okay, so this is about, guys, basically, right, creating the functions with a Python. So actually, we discussed almost all the fundamental stuff about the Python. I hope you enjoyed the things I just explained. But again, I'm just telling this thing, guys. This is a very simple, gentle introduction, right? So what we need is, right, what actually we need is, guys, we want actually you to basically go through and learn and understand the stuffs further, and you have to right, practice with this technique, and then you have to basically, right, learn the stuffs. Got my point, right? All right. So I hope now you understood, right, what this means. So right. So we have, right, very few minutes. So within this particular few minutes, guys, right, I thought of just giving kind of another introduction, right, about another kind of a different, right, area in the programming. But this is actually not such. Our main focus actually is to give you a Python fundamental understanding. But so I discussed with you guys a kind of a specific, right, specific way of building the programs, right? But when we actually build the programs, guys, that we have different other frameworks. විවිධ ක්‍රම තියෙනවා තමයි program build up කරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ඔය මම ඔයාලට පෙන්නුවේ එක විදිහක් ඇත්තටම කියනවනේ. ඔකට අපි කියන්නේ guys procedural programming කියලා. We actually call this particular program I just explained as the procedural programming. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේක තමයි ඉතින් ගොඩක් කට්ටිය පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ අර සාමාන්‍ය program කරද්දී අපි වැඩ කරන්නේ මේ විදිහ තමයි. But guys, there's another framework. There's another framework, guys, which is used for, right, creating the programs, right? Programs called object-oriented program. If you remember, guys, when I was just discussing about the functions of the Python, Python වල functions ගැන ඔයාලට introduce කරද්දී I mentioned why did we create these functions? මේ function අපි හැදුවේ කියලා මම explain කරා. Why did we create, guys? Because the reason was what? The reason was, guys, we actually wanted to simplify the program. මට program සරල කරන්න ඕන උනානේ. පුළුවන් තරම් මට සරල කරන්න ඕන. Right? I wanted to simplify the program. That is why, guys, I created the function. Like that, guys, object-oriented programming means it's kind of a way of simplifying the programs. Right? පුළුවන් තරම් computer program සරල කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? That is the simple idea. And actually, guys, this particular double OP or this object-oriented programming means kind of a bit complicated area, right, compared to the procedural computer program we discussed so far. But I just thought of, right, giving you a kind of a brief, gentle introduction to that task. මට දැන් ඔයාලට පොඩි ඒ ගැන පොඩි අර අදහසක් දෙන්න ඕනේ කියන දේ මට හිතුණා, right? මොකද ඒකත් ගොඩක් වැදගත් concept එක, right? Especially, guys, let's say in the industry, අපි ගත්තම දැන් software engineering industry එක අපි ගියොත් එහෙම, guys, in the industry, guys, that more than the procedural programming, most of the cases, guys, they are using this double OP concept. And so all the podi, right, make just a very simple introduction. That's it. ලොකුවට කියලා දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. පොඩි වෙලාවක් කරන් මම ඔයාලට පොඩි gentle introduction එකක් දෙනවා. මොකද්ද මේ double OP කියන්නේ කියලා. I just want to give you a very simple introduction about the double OP, right? So I prepared a very simple lecture note, right, for that one. So this is a simple, right? Very simple, a kind of explanation about this one, guys. What is this double lobby? Right. Double lobby means, guys, basically, when you are developing the computer, basically, let's say some programs, that we actually work with the integers, right? Floats, let's say lists, tuples, likewise, of different data, right? We work with different items. Thing is, guys, the double lobby concept, guys, we consider all of these items as objects. අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි ජීවිතේ සාමාන්‍ය ජීවිතේ ළම අපි වැඩ කරද්දී අපිට විවිධ මේ items අහු වෙනවානේ. උදාහරණයක් වතුර බෝතලේ, ටෙලිෆෝන් එක, බෑග් එක, ලැප්ටොප් එක, right? පෑන, පැන්සල. මොනවද මේවා? All of these are actually objects. මේ යම් items මේ යම් අපිට right අල්ලලා අතට ගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහේ right සමහර මේ ද්‍රව්‍ය items තමයි අපි කියන්නේ right objects කියලා. We consider, guys, in the programming also. We programming වලත් consider කරනවා programming වල තියෙන හැම දෙයක්ම යම් කිසි item එකක් කියලා. Understood? That is what is called as an object in the program, right? So for an example, guys, let's say just think about this particular, right? නිකන් හිතන්නකෝ අපි car එකක් ගමුකෝ, right? දැන් car එක කියන්නේ object එකක් නේ, right? It's a kind of object, right? So object එකේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ ළමයි? දැන් බලන්න car කියන object එකේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? It has what? It has basically, right? It has basically, let's say wheels are there. It has a color, right? It has, let's say, seats. Car එක ඇතුලේ seat තියෙනවා. Let's say car has, let's say, kind of headlights. Likewise, different features are there, right? There are features there. Let's say a car is having what? It's having kind of a, let's say it has fuel type, whether it's, let's say, petrol, or let's say diesel, or let's say hybrid, or let's say fully electric, likewise. Understood? And those are the characteristics the car is having, right? As well as, guys, it has what? It has some functions which can be performed by the car. For example, let's say car can what? Drive, right? Reverse, park. Understood? These are the functions the car can perform. Likewise, guys, the particular objects that we consider in the programming. So we believe those objects are also having what? Some characteristics as well as some functions, right? And if I talk about this car, guys, the car කියන එක ගත්තාම, there are lots of cars in the world. ලෝකේ කාර් ගත්තාම විවිධ කාර් වර්ග තියෙනවානේ. Lots of cars are there. නැද්ද? ඕන තරම් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි මේ හැම කාර් එකක වෙන්නේ වැඩේ මොකක්ද? The particular process these cars are performing is what? It is similar. Understood? They are just driving, right? Reversing, let's say parking. They have, let's say, all of the cars are having different wheels, different, let's say, headlights are there, different colors are there, different fuel types are there. Understood? Different types of doors, but වෙනස් උනාට ළමයි එකම දේවල් ටිකනේ තියෙන්නේ. Something like that. In the programming also, guys, we can identify similar objects, but which are having different characteristics as well as different functions. Got my point? The thing is, guys, that means these objects can be taken as a single group. දැන් එක වගේ objects අපිට එක group එකකට ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් cars ගන්න car ගන්නකො. car ගත්තාම right? car ඔක්කොම අපිට එක group එකකට ගන්නවා. car අපි කියන්නේ car එක. car කියන group එක, right? ඔය car කියන group එකේ තමයි මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? අපි ගත්තොත් තියෙනවා Maruti තියෙනවා, Aldo තියෙනවා, right? බස් අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම මොනවද? තව ගත්තොත් එහෙම මේ මොනවද? Swift තියෙනවා, right? Civic එක තියෙනවා, right? Aqua ඔය වගේ විවිධ වර්ග තියෙනවා car. තේරුණාද? හැබැයි ඒක අයිති වෙන්නේ තනි car කියන මොකද group එකට. We call that particular group which actually contains these objects, or in other words, the particular group which actually creates these objects. දැන් ඔය group එක ඇතුළේ ළම මේ car කියන එක එළියට එන්නේ, right? ඔන්න car එක group එක ඇතුළේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? Aqua කියන car එක එනවා. Prius කියන car එක එනවා. Swift කියන කාර් එක එනවා. හැබැයි මේ කොහොමද කාර් කියන group එක ඇතුලේ? That is called as what? Class. මේ class එකක් කියලා කියනවා. So in the programming also, guys, these objects are having what? A class. And those classes are having what? The attributes or the characteristics or the color. For example, in the car game, right? Color, number of wheels, number of seats, let's say fuel time. Then with the characteristics, you can understand, guys, for different objects, guys, the values of these characteristics are what? Different. With the objects of that time, guys, where characteristics are values like a Venus. For example, let's say you may be having red car. In that red color car, guys, what about the color? It's red. Let's say we have another car. Let's say we say blue color. In that car, guys, the characteristic of the color is what? It's blue. And let's say we have an aqua car. It's what about the type of the fuel, guys? It's a hybrid. Let's say we have a kind of a premium. The premium car, you know, the type is what? The fuel type is petrol. Likewise, understood? Tesla type of the fuel is what? Electric, basically fully electric. Likewise, but actually the characteristics are different, but they actually belong into the same group. That's the thing, guys. Not only the class, guys, but also guys, but also the functions, functionalities it can perform. They are also what? Same, right? Say drive, park, reverse. Functions are there, right? But sometimes some of the cars may be having different functions, but most of the functions are what? Similar. Understood, guys? All right. I just want to give you a very simple idea about the classes in Python. මම Python වල class හදලා පොඩ්ඩක් නිකන් කියලා දෙන්න, right? Not into the very deep level. I just want to give you a very simple පොඩි නිකන් දාලා අදහසක් දෙන්න විතරයි මට ඕනේ අතට, right? So this is the thing, guys. So very simple, right? So what we do is, guys, if you want, let's say, create a class in Python, you have to use, guys, this particular class key. Then මෙහෙමයි. දැන් මේක මම කියලා දුන්නාම ඔයාලා ගෙදරදී තමයි ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ මේක ගැන. You have to just search. You have to search and you have to just try to understand, right? What is this class? What is this object? මේකේ තියෙන වාසිය මොකක්ද? අර අපි කතා කරපු සාමාන්‍ය procedural programming වලට වඩා මේකේ වෙනස මොකක්ද? You have to just basically just more search about this, right? Let's say I create a class, let's say a class called car, right? මම නිකන් car class එකක් හදනවා, right? Now let's say in the car class, let's say I just put some, right? I just, let's say, put some, let's say, some characteristics, right? To actually show the characteristics, guys, in Python, we use this init කියලා function එකක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා, right? So maybe I think ඔයාලා නැතර මේ කියන්නේ I don't actually discuss these stuffs in detail, but දැනට දැන් ඔළුව දාගෙන මේක init කියන function එක තමයි මේක අපි දැන් create කරන්නේ, right? Just එහෙම හිතන්නකෝ, right? මේකේ තමයි අපි අර attributes, characteristics I just put into the init function. Just think like that, right? All right. Now let's say I just create this particular init function. So and you have just search, right? So here underscore init, and again underscore. And then, guys, very important, we have to put here what? We have to put here a keyword called self, right? I don't discuss here its why, but just දැනට නිකන් ඔයා මතක තියාගන්න පස්සේ මේක ඔයා සර්ච් කරලා බලන්න. ඇයි මේ මොකද්ද මේ self කියන්නේ කියලා, right? Now let's say guys, we have, let's think that we have three characteristics, let's say number of wheels, and let's say fuel type, and let's say color, something like that. That means we need to have three inputs, right? Let's put, let's say A, B, C, three inputs, right? ඔන්න දැන් මම දාන්න යන්නේ, right? Let's say self dot, let's say color, right? Color එක I put here, let's say A, right? Self dot, let's say n wheels, number of wheels, let's say I just put here B, right? Self, let's say fuel type, something like this, I put here C. Now these are the characteristics, right? So color එක, number of wheels, fuel type. Now I just put here some functions. Then මේ තියෙන මොනවද? මේ තියෙන guys මේ මොනවද? Characteristics ටිකනේ. Now I just put here functions, guys. Let's say define set of functions. Let's say I just put here, let's say, drive function, right? Self, right? I put here, let's say, දැන් මෙහෙමද දැන් මෙතන මම drive කරලා වෙනට බෑනේ program එක ඇස්සේ. මම නිකන් print එකක් දාන්න, right? But ඇත්තටම මේව තමයි පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ ළමයි. දැන් ඔයාලා දකින programs වල දැන් මම නිකන් මේ ඔයාලට print කරලානේ පෙන්නන්නේ. I just print and show. දැන් මෙතන print ම වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. දැන් මේක ඇතුළේ අපිට ඕන සංකීර්ණ program එකක් ලියන්න පුළුවන්. Understood, right? දැන් මේක තමයි අපි දකින ඕන program එක ලියන්නේ මේ function ඇතුලේ. තේරුණාද guys? Right, now let's say print. මම කියනවා let's say drive the car. ඔන්න car එක drive කරන්න, right? හරි. Now power function ලියමු. Let's say define. Let's say reverse, right? Again self, right? Print. දැන් ඔයාලා search කරලා මොකද්ද මේ self කියන්නේ? You have to search and learn, right? ඒක ඔයාලා බලන්න ඕන search කරලා මොකද්ද මේ self කියන්නේ කියලා, right? Let's say reverse the car, right? ඔයාලා function මම දෙකක් ලියුවා, right? And now I created this particular class. Now guys, from this particular class guys, I can create lots of what? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි guys මේ classes සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි create කරන්නේ මේ capital letters දාලා. එහෙම නීතියක් නැහැ. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි දානවා, right? All right. Now guys, I can create lots of objects from this class. Let's say just create here aqua. කියලා මම මොන object එකක් create කරනවා, right? From this particular car කියන class එකේ. Now guys, you can't create just. Why? You have to put the characteristics for these particular things. Let's say I just put here color හිතන්න. Let's say color is red color, and let's say number of wheels. Let's say four wheels are there. I just put here, let's say hybrid, right? Hybrid. And let's say now Tesla, right? So car, let's say blue color, right? Blue. And let's say now let's say we have 4 wheels, and let's say electric, something like that. And now let's say Premio, right? Premio, Maruti, right? Maruti, right? Okay. Now let's say right? Okay. Now let's say we just put here, let's say car, right? And let's say we just put here, let's say green, right? Green color. And let's say 4 right wheels, and let's say petrol, like that. I created, let's say, different objects from this class. Now guys, right? So now I have created the objects, guys. Now if I want to, let's say, access, right? Now let's say I want to see, let's say the aqua. Let's say I want to see what is the color of this car, right? Very simple, guys. You can use this for a dot operator and just call your color. It's what? It's red color. Now let's say Maruti. Let's say I just want the color. It's a green color. Let's say Tesla. Let's say I want to see that number of wheels for the Tesla. It is 4. And not only the characteristics, guys. Let's say I just want to see, let's say aqua. Let's say aqua drive function. Drive the car. Drive the car, right? Let's say Tesla. Let's say reverse function. Reverse the car. Understood, guys? Now I have basically created this particular class. From this class, I created some objects. Now I can access any of the functions. මෙතන මම නිකන් print කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් ඇත්ත world එකේ program වල print කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයාලා තේරෙනවනේ. මොනවාරි ලොකු මොනවාරි operation එකක් ලියනවා කියන්න පුළුවන්. Right? තේරුණාද? And even guys, then ඕනනම් අපිට පුළුවන් මෙතන හිතන්නකෝ දැන් let's say දැන් Maruti ගත්තාම Maruti කියන කාර් එක සාමාන්‍ය පොඩි කාර් එකක් නේ. ඒකේ ලොකු options නැහැ. හැබැයි දැන් අපි ගත්තම Aqua කියන කාර් එකේ ඊට වඩා ගොඩක් options තියෙනවා. Tesla එකේ ඊට වඩා options තියෙනවා. That means we can basically create some subclasses. ඕනනම් මට මේ කාර් කියන class එක ඇතුළේ ළමයි subclass create කරන්න පුළුවන් based on the features. හැබැයි මේ subclass වලට මේ ප්‍රධාන ගුණාංග ඔක්කොම තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඊට අමතරව තව අලුතෙන් තියෙන features තියෙනවා මේකේ. Understood? Like that. You can just create like that. So, but I don't actually discuss those stuffs here. I just want to give a very brief, right, idea about this double OP concept as well, because now you guys can understand this thing. Now you guys can, right, search and try to learn about these stuffs, right, in detail. And I hope, right, you can now start and learn these stuffs. Hurry, that's it, right? Can you please type just in chat box, guys, if you understood so far things that I discussed? All right, so did you enjoy session, guys? I hope. Yes, I know that some of these things may be new for you, right? If you are, let's say, hearing these stuff for the first time in your life, මේකවා ජීවිතේ පළවෙනි පාරට නම් අහන්න සමහරට මේවා අලුත්ම දේවල් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. කමක් නැහැ. That is how we have to start, right? So I also actually started like that. මමත් මුලින්ම ළමයි මේ මං කිව්වේ මම කැම්පස් එකේ third year වගේ තමයි මුලින් පටන් ගත්තේ Python. ඊට කලින් තියෙනවා. But Python was actually I learned in the third year. But with that onwards, what I did, I actually self-learned. I'm පුළුවන් තරම් study කරා, right? Then I studied, and I tried to actually write the programs by myself. Now I am fully actually comfortable with this language. Hurry, that is the thing. So in the start, guys, anyway, you know, right? So, but you have to, that is what learning means, right? But the thing is this, guys, now let's say you have just, right, let's say you have just tried hard, and let's say you have just now learned Python, then guys, you will be getting lots of opportunities. That is for sure, right? I know it personally, right? You're getting lots of opportunities, right? If you have learned these stuffs and, right, made this skill for your life. All right. That is what, guys, actually that we are finding in this particular program, this particular Future Founders, this program as well. We want to find who are actually finding the future. Understood? That is the main goal in this particular program. So we want to actually help you to find yourself. That is what actually we are just focusing in this particular program. So as I have already mentioned, guys, that we have some more set of programs, right? We have actually arranged for you. So please participate for these programs, as well as, guys, that share these. Today actually we had a very limit number of students. That's totally fine, because we are going to share the recording with you, and you can just go through those recordings and so you can just be familiar, and you can just recap what you have learned in the session. And I just gave a very brief introduction only, guys. So you have to basically practice and learn these stuffs more and get more familiar with these stuffs. And I hope next session onwards, we will be having more students, right? And please share with your friends as well. If you have, let's say, if you are your school friends and you are let's say one of the classes, so wherever, if you have some friends, guys, please share these recordings as well as share these sessions with them, and then they can also join with that. That's why. So yeah, that is what. So our hope. So our SLIIT as well as in the SLESA, right? So the main hope actually is to actually empowering, for actually empowering you guys to the future, right? That is what the main purpose. So basically, that you are getting these different workshops, guys, in the coming weeks. So we will inform you, right? We will inform you. So in the WhatsApp group, as well as that in the Facebook pages as well, about these sessions. So basically, you will be learning about how can we. So today we talked about how to actually create the programs with the program languages, with the codings. But you will be learning, guys, that here we are going to conduct a session about low code and no code platforms. That means without or with a minimum codings, how can we create the programs? And you'll be learning about, so artificial intelligence is a very hot topic in the world now, guys. So you will be learning these stuff in detail in that session. So and then web development, so you'll be learning front end, back end, database handling, everything. electronics, Arduino, robotics, right? So 3D printing, mechanical prototyping, everything will be, right? So discussed within this particular webinar series. So please join with this, and not only participating, guys, but also practicing, right? Practicing is also very important, guys. So if you practice these stuff, then let's say if you have taken the full benefit of this program, and if you have, let's say, right, if you have, let's say, come into the world, let's say, as a right valuable product, that is what actually our main goal. All right, guys, thank you so much for participating for today's session, right? So we hope that you will be joining with the rest of the programs as well. Okay, thank you so much, guys.